Chapter 427 Crisis. Chapter 427 Crisis. Yuan Shan spat out frozen blood as he wobbled to his feet. Drifting flowers, edifices profound, ranked martial art, heavenly austere ice palm. Trained to such perfection it can even freeze my demonic face seal. Congratulations, Lady of Steel. Valley Lord Yu's demonic face seal is too exquisite even for me to take lightly. It's all thanks to decades upon decades of hard work that I had the honor to match Valley Lord Yu's skills. With how grandmother wheezed, looking thin and pale, she wasn't faring much better. Either Yuan Shan cupped his hands and withdrew. Yen Bagong laughed, stepping in next. Ha ha ha. Grandmother has aged with grace, coming above even the likes of Valley Lord Yu. How about you humor this old man next? Yen Bagong, you lowlife, you just want to take advantage of grandmother having fought a hard battle and being exhausted. You're just picking on the weak. One overseer cursed. Yen Bagong took it all in stride and showed a light smile. That's a little off, my lady. We 3 houses joined hands, just so we don't have to go one-on-one. How does picking on the weak fit here? We just want to duel with grandmother right now for a bit instead of starting the assault. We're doing you all a favor. Yen Bagong justified himself. Leaving the overseer's speechless grandmother let out a cold laughter. Her eyes icy. Yen Bagong implied he was giving drifting flowers edifices leeway. But one thing remained unchanged. In an all-out war, drifting flowers edifices had the disadvantage. But it wasn't going to fall that easily, not when having a defensive array, while grandmother was the pillar of drifting flowers edifices. With her being dead, the battle would already be over even with the array. When there was no one to direct it, defeat was certain. Yen Bagong and company wanted to cut the head and the body would follow. These duels were in fact in their complete favor. The astute grandmother picked up on their little trick right away, but she accepted anyway. The 3 lords' defeat would have the same drastic effect on the enemy as her death. It went without saying that it would work wonders in cutting drifting flowers edifices' casualties short and would stall for their ally support. It really was the best choice in drifting flowers edifices' current situation, no matter how weak grandmother felt. She had to push on. Just that revulsion at Yen Bagong preaching righteousness always came to her. Both sides are fighting a battle of minds for their own interest. Yet you want to look cool doing it. Yen Bagong, come. Grandmother had an icy air and a smirk. Yen Bagong smiled there, calm and carefree. But the next second, he turned savage, launching rainbow cloud palm with both hands. Pilking Hall's signature move. Grandmother knew it was coming and had a shield of ice around her as she went on the offensive. The poison was acidic, but it wouldn't eat through the clear ice that fast. It took no longer than a flash for grandmother to pass through the heavy poison cloud and reach Yen Bagong with a palm strike, watching the icy palm inching towards his chest. Yen Bagong's heart tensed. His fate would soon be the same as Yuan Shan before him. He might be on edge at the incoming ice, but not panicked. He even had time to show off a creepy smile. Grandmother had a bad feeling about this whoosh. From the thick fog, one man shot in front of Yen Bagong and punched. It was Mary Woods's Lin. Rough on you. Grandmother, cried Lin, rough and grinned. One and only. The punch and palm collided. Lin Roofing's savage power pierced the ice on her palm and wreaked havoc in her body with a sharp sound. The icy shield collapsed and 10 fierce blows hammered her body. Sending her flying, she shot through the poison cloud and into the ground. The blood she spat tinted the ground in eerie colors. This was the worst outcome. Grandmother was heavily wounded and poisoned by the rainbow cloud palm. Puffing out more blood, grandmother glared at the 2 above with endless hatred. Marywood's profound, ranked martial art. Empty cloud art. Our empty cloud art is based on speed, splitting an attack into several blows to tear up your insides. The more advanced the cultivation, the more splits. You may have ice protecting you, but not even that can block all of them. I have managed to unleash 20 splits. Ha ha ha. Lin Ruffing laughed in pride. The overseers rushed at grandmother's side, giving a hateful glare at the 2 lords above. You no good 2-bit filthy scumbags. Is that how a house lord acts nowadays, stabbing people in the back? Oh, no, no, no. Didn't I say that already? This is a coalition of 3 houses. Anything goes. Besides, us 2 work great together, and we haven't even surrounded you with our forces yet. What's wrong with that? Yen Bagong snickered. The women's eyes spat fire from all the rage boiling in their hearts. Grandmother panted, finding it hard to even speak. Take me back now. Yen Bagong snickered. You won't get away that easy. Attack! Their head is down. It's the perfect moment to take them all down. Understood. The sea of people came in like a tide. The overseers rushed to get grandmother back to safety. But Yen Bagong's team of 2 was faster, making a sinister strike at the retreating grandmother, take her out of the picture, and the drifting flowers edifices would follow the other women, rushed to defend her. The overseers stood no chance in front of 2 house lords. They were dead in one blow, unable to stall 1 second. 2 more turned back to attack. But grandmother stopped them. Grandmother! They all cried. Grandmother sighed. I won't be able to survive this, but you are the future of drifting flowers edifices. Go, withdraw. Let Iris become the edifice lord. I will hold them off. Grandmother, no. They all teared up in sadness. Grandmother barked. You bunch of ignorant girls. How can you not see what's in front? I have to hold them back, or we'll all die. Go back and wait. We will get our chance when support comes. Grandmother trailed off. Not even she was certain that drifting flowers edifices could come out alive, but held on to hope still. The women saw the steel gaze of grandmother, and despite their distress, they nodded and withdrew to drifting flower city. Grandmother showed a clear smile, watching them go. Silly girls, take care. Ha ha ha, Chubijuan. You should care about yourself first. The 2 closed in, Yen Bagong's creepy voice reaching her ears. Grandmother had a cold smile. Her mind set. Humph! Yen Bagong Lin Ruffin. As long as there's 1 breath left in this body, you'll never tread 1 step in drifting flowers edifices. Grandmother flew high at the 2. The 2 met her fearlessly. She had the Lady of Steel moniker. But with how downtrodden she was from that last blow, they wouldn't qualify as house lords if they backed off now with a bang. The 2 sides clashed. The shock wave turned everything around them to dust. The 2 kept on attacking, even as grandmother was spurting blood and lost consciousness. Her frail and damaged body slammed into the ground. Grandmother! The women shed tears of pain at their helplessness and their weakness. Yen Bagong walked over and struck again. Ha ha ha! The great Lady of Steel's head is mine for the taking. Something shot straight for Yen Bagong. He squinted and looked shocked, killing with intent. A radiant stage expert. Chapter 428. 3 Venerables. Chapter 428. 3 Venerables. Bam! Yen Bagong panicked at the incoming soul attack and put up his defenses. Despite being a mere profound heaven cultivator with no chance against a radiant stage expert, the intent left the 2 groaning. Yen Bagong even flew away, leaving a trail of blood in the air. Lin Ruffing stopped dead in his tracks, trembling and rooted Russell. 3 graceful figures floated between grandmother and the lords. Drifting flowers, edifices, venerables, looking back at the unconscious grandmother. One shouted, What are you waiting for? Get her out of here. Understood. The overseer's morale soared, flying away with grandmother. They were at ease knowing the venerables had their back. The tide of people came to a halt as well. Humph! You lowlifes dare set your eyes on drifting flowers edifices. The venerables faced the thousands with angry rebuke. Yen Bagong barely stood his ground, pale and weary, yet not a trace of fear. He big words for just a bunch of broads. If not for the imperial family's help in the past millennium, you'd never see today. Don't think for a second that being in the radiant stage will change anything. Which of us houses doesn't have its own venerables? Now more than ever, when we have the great regent estate taking the lead. Ha ha ha, we are the ones behind this siege. Laughter shook the area. To everyone's shock, an astonishing power surged as a grizzled old man showed his face, his eyes flashing like lightning. His face excited each of his breath, felt like the world was sucked away, then unleashed back as a storm. The three venerables squinted and shouted in shock. Huangpu Fonglei! My purpose here is to deal with you three. His head held impossibly high. Huangpu Fonglei flicked his hand with disdain. I am not one to pick on women, so I'll take you all on. Twitching, the three turned grave despite living in seclusion. They had all heard of Huangpu Fenglei's name. He was a rare peak radiant stage expert in this world. The ones capable of fighting him in Tianyu could be counted on one hand. Sure, there were three of them, but the strongest was only in the fifth layer. It'd hardly make a difference. But as Drifting Flowers Edifice's venerables, having enjoyed its resources for decades, they weren't about to flee in the face of danger. They were women, but they were principled, even more so than some men, with a deep breath to steady their nerves. One showed her will to fight or die trying. Sisters, today's the day we will fight for justice. Ha ha ha, it won't matter. We've lived together and we'll die together. A fitting end for our 100-year friendship. The two laughed. The first smiled, having reached an understanding. All flew at the mighty Huangpu Fonglei with not 1 ounce of fear. Huangpu Fonglei praised. I've heard of Drifting Flowers Edifice's women being staunch, and now I see it for myself. You are far better than some male wolves drunk on power. Huangpu Fonglei continued. I will give you 3 free shots at me before I attack, seeing as I'm so kind. Begin. Humph. Thank you for your consideration, sir. We're happy to accept. Huangpu Fonglei was tough, and the 3 were not fools. If the guy gave them 3 free moves, they weren't about to refuse. They had a non-zero chance, impossible odds true, but there was always the luck of the moment. The least they could manage was injure him. Stopping him from breaking the array, it would give some value to their deaths, knowing to have returned the kindness Drifting Flowers Edifices offered them for so long. With 1 less warrior on the enemy's side, Drifting Flowers Edifices' chances would rise. The 3 turned solemn, each taking a direction and making a sign. The wind picked up and the yuan qi surged. A white mist formed between the 3, linking them and feeding off each other's strengths. To their very peak of power, an ice phoenix took form between them, 300 meters large and shrieking. Huangpu Fenglei's brow shuddered. Combination martial art? I never knew you'd be so in tune with each other, of the same heart and mind. Humph, who needs your praise? You should take this instead. The leader of the 3 scoffed and pushed out her palms. The other 2 matched her perfectly shriek. The ice phoenix unleashed its full killing intent on Huangpu Fonglei as it charged. All in its wake turned to ice. Even air itself, Yen Bagong cried out in shock. Radiant stage experts weren't without their fame, while a combined attack from 3 went farther. Such an attack would wipe them out. Peak profound heaven experts, along with half the people there, forget about fighting Drifting Flowers Edifices at this point. It was a miracle if the armies stuck together. Yen Bagong and Lin Rafeng exchanged a glance, and cold sweat ran down their spines. Thank the Maker, they had Regent Estate on their side. With High Venerable's personal interference, the casualties would have been horrible without him. These broads sure are tough. Unlike everyone's panicked look, Huangpu Fonglei praised and looked on with a calm expression. When the ice phoenix got near him, he waved. Humph, this skill sure is dangerous, but not to me. Huangpu Fonglei clutched the ice phoenix's neck and squeezed with a bang. The phoenix crumbled into glittering ice. Huangpu Fonglei grinned. First! The ice fragments released an unbearable coldness, unleashing a frosty wave straight towards Huangpu Fonglei. It swallowed him in its midst, leaving behind nothing, not even Huangpu Fenglei's body, just a sparkling, human-sized ice sculpture. High Venerable! Everyone cried, with Huangpu Fonglei getting done in from the 3 Hegs attack. How would the rest fare? Amidst their anxiety and fear, cracking sounds revealed the breaking of the sculpture with a bang. To finish, Huangpu Fonglei was revealed in all his glory with a manic laughter. Who knew such an attack hid an even stronger one? Ha ha ha, how amazing! Not that it did any good to the likes of me. High Venerable is invincible. The crowd cheered. Whooshes sounded as the three venerables flashed right in Huangpu Fenglei's face. Huangpu Fenglei, we knew this attack won't work, so we prepared a little something. The leader shouted. The other two also yelled, and their fingers formed a sword. Profound, ranked martial art. Dark Heaven Finger. Huangpu Fenglei gave his all to resist this time around. But the ice and coldness from before had him slowed down, giving the three venerables enough time for their sword fingers to hit his pressure points with the sound of freezing water. Huangpu Fenglei felt icy coldness invade his body and freeze his veins. He was shocked that Yuan Qi could hardly stop it. This can't be. With his power, not even these three together could freeze him. Yet now, Huangpu Fenglei turned grave and doubt sprouted. His fists clenched and body shuddered. Chapter 429. Death Before Dishonor. Chapter 429. Death Before Dishonor. The leader had a cold smile. Huangpu Fenglei, did you think that combination art was all to deceive you? Wrong, so very wrong, ha ha ha. The ice on Huangpu Fenglei grew harder and thicker. His body soon became rigid, and only his eyes were moving. He ended up getting caged inside the ice like a lion, poised to jump out at a moment's notice and rip its quarry to pieces. Don't look at me like that. There's no chance of coming out of this. The Ice Phoenix's cold energy is keeping you frozen, not to mention the icy energy in your body keeping your Yuan Qi sealed. This way, our Dark Heaven Finger works in tandem with the first attack and freezes you solid. The leader's eyes sparkled with the joy of victory. Ha ha ha, you may be a peak expert, but with your Yuan Qi on ice, even if you get out of our move, your power will be cut in half. Huangpu Fenglei, you brought this on yourself. Despite being frozen stiff, Huangpu Fenglei didn't panic, speaking in a sinister tone. Hags, don't write me off so early. Your parlor tricks are no match for me. Huangpu Fenglei let out dragonic roars and exploded in a golden shower roar. 9 golden dragons shot from inside him. The powerful Yuan Qi waves shook the ice off and sent the 3 women flying, as well the 3 left a trail of blood as they hit the ground looking up. They watched Huangpu Fenglei come down like a god, wrapped in 9 dragons and with an overbearing aura. That relentless power surging around him was testament to his state of health. Undamaged, untouched, it came at an even greater shock to the women, followed by despair. If even their combined attacks couldn't do anything, this man was a freak, godlike. They lowered their heads, bitter, having lost all hope. Huangpu Fenglei eased up on the glaring light show and overlooked them like the emperor as he raised a second finger. Imperial tyrant body art is the strongest cultivation method among the houses. No one can stop me. That was the second move. Sisters, we have one more chance. Have you thought about it? The leader showed resolve, ready to die. The other 2 smiled. What's there to think? Of our peak skills, we can only use that. Let's do it. The leader nodded, getting their feet under them and watching Huangpu Fenglei above without any fear. Huangpu Fenglei, you better keep your word. Since you said you'll give us 3 free moves, then 3 is what we have. Of course, my word is my bond. But what could you possibly come up with that can work? Humph, Huangpu Fenglei snorted. The leader was calm. Nothing, only our blood for our house. The 3 jumped high at Huangpu Fenglei. With power and speed, Huangpu Fenglei frowned, unclear of their aim. What other combination art are they using? Why can't I sense anything? The venerables took 3 directions around him and shot their palms forward with 3 sounds. The palms impacted Huangpu Fenglei's perfect body. Without so much as a scratch, Huangpu Fenglei just took it like a champ with arms crossed. He looked at them curious. Is this your final move, a palm? There was not even a skill behind it. There's no way you can harm me with that. You've lost your last chance. Ha ha ha. Thank you, Sir Huangpu, for giving us these free moves. But this palm is only half of it. With an odd smile, the leader made a sign. The other 2 followed. Huangpu Fenglei was puzzled. Do they want to use some super secret art? But why did that sign feel so familiar? He shot his eyes wide open and cried, Self-destruction. You, This is our last move. Death before dishonor. The women grinned. Huangpu Fenglei was scared silly. With the 3 Radiant Stage experts so close and primed to blow, not even Imperial Tyrant Body Art could bear it. He used all his Yuan Qi to unleash a golden glow and make the trio fly too little, too late. With one last smile, to Huangpu Fenglei's frantic look, 3 earth-shattering explosions wrecked the place. Boom! The huge balls of flame swallowed the sky, shaking up everything. Even with the array in place, Drifting Flower City was now in ruins. Yen Bagong ducked just as the tide of flames passed him. One careless twitch could burn his head clean off once the cool wind set in again. The people looked shell-shocked. The mountains around them were now flatlands, while the trees floated around as ashes. The bone-tempering disciples had their meridians crushed and died. Maybe they wanted a closer look at death, or just sheer bad luck. They stuck their neck out to see the glorious apocalyptic flame, only to have half their body burnt. Testament to their folly, Yen Bogong's heart was shaking all over. What a frightening explosion! And that came out of 3 Radiant Stage experts' self-destruction. Then what about the person at their core, their High Venerable? He looked around in panic and shouted, "High Venerable, are you all right?" Bam! A black figure slammed the ground. Yen Bagong rushed over to see. Huangpu Fenglei's face burnt black, laying there broken and robbed of any air of superiority. Blood spurted out, and Huangpu Fenglei wheezed. Looking around at the faces, he rejoiced at his new lease on life. "High Venerable, you're amazing to come out alive from that. You're the only one in Tianyu to pull it off." Yen Bagong gave a thumbs up and a good ass-licking. Huangpu Fenglei had no time for his gibberish, frowning. "Why did they do it?" "Ah, you mean those drifting flowers, edifices venerables?" Yen Bagong smiled. "Who cares? They couldn't beat you, so they decided to drag you down as well. But they never thought even this couldn't kill you. You're still in one piece. They died for nothing, the idiots." "No." Huangpu Fenglei shook his head weakly. A cultivator that has reached the Radiant Stage would cherish his life above everything. They would never throw their lives away unless it is the very last resort. They could have used the Drifting Flowers edifice's array to stall me and escape. So why? Yen Bagong paused. Pig-headed, perhaps? Ha ha ha, that's putting it mildly. Huangpu Fenglei barely propped his body. Drifting Flowers edifice's a women's domain. Hasn't survived all these years on empty words alone. Huangpu Fenglei limped away. Yen Bagong asked, "High Venerable, aren't we attacking?" "Of course we are, fool. But that's your problem. I need to dress my wounds. Can't you see I can't even fly and have a busted leg?" Glaring back, Huangpu Fenglei cursed, but he didn't leave without a final piece of advice. "Don't get careless. Drifting Flowers edifice's women's can't be underestimated." Yen Bagong nodded, exchanged a glance with Lin Rufeng. "Looking at your wretched state, we can glean that much." Though they looked back at Drifting Flower City and felt a headache coming without a Radiant Stage to support them. How many years would it take to break through? The Region Estate's experts only acted as support, leaving the heavy lifting to them. The only helper, Huangpu Fenglei, was now away on medical leave. Chapter 430, Baiting the Aid. Chapter 430, Baiting the Aid. Boom! The explosion shook all of Drifting Flower City. Houses crumbled and turned to dust. Drifting Flowers edifice's main hall had calm and wise women handling everyday's affairs, but they were now crying in panic. Grandmother, pale and weak, lay on the floor, rocking to the explosion's rhythm. The odd bump into the ground of her head had her frowning and opening her eyes. "Aunt Tao, grandmother's awake!" Peony Overseer perked up. Drifting Flowers edifice's head alchemist, Tao Danyang, rushed over. "Grandmother's injury is stable, but—" "What?" Peony Overseer asked. Tao Danyang sighed. "Removing the rainbow cloud palm's poison is beyond these wrinkled hands' ability. They alone hold the antidote." What do we do now?" Peony Overseer asked. "Pilking Hall is right outside our gates." Are we supposed to go out there and grab one to force an antidote out of them? Everyone shook their heads from how powerless they were. Pilkinghall was already strong by themselves. But now in the three-house coalition, it would be even tougher for Drifting Flowers edifices to deal with them. Going out now was plain suicide. Iris Overseer smiled. Peony, don't be nervous. Pilkinghall had a monopoly on the Rainbow Cloud Palm's antidote until now. Did you forget how Zhua Fan deciphered the antidote at the 100-pill meeting, curing grandmother, Aunt Tao, and many of our sisters? Even their top alchemist, Vicious Pill King, is now under the Luo clan. And with him as an ally, there's no need to fear any poison. Yeah, we just have to get in touch with them and grandmother will be fine. Aunt Tao nodded. Relieved, she felt like having Zhua Fan as an ally was the best thing that ever happened to them. The Rainbow Cloud Palm squeezing on them every minute of every hour was now a thing of the past. Peony Overseer pouted, her face unnatural. But that prick stole our precious heirloom. How can we trust him? It will be great if he returns it. But if he doesn't... Grandmother's faint voice trailed off weakly. Then she came to a decision and spoke firmly. All we can do is move on. If Drifting Flowers edifices is to survive, we need to compromise. We need allies like him, the most right now. What is the point of getting the treasure back only to find a city filled with corpses? All became pensive. Their respect for grandmother was growing. Grandmother had earned the respect of all houses for a reason. And for the same reason, she kept Drifting Flowers edifices afloat all this time. As a house lord, she had to have the mind and eyes that went beyond the scope of the common man, with vaulting ambition and steel resolve, always thinking long-term and never nitpicking on the details. And in their final hour, Drifting Flowers edifices needed allies the most. They couldn't throw away Zhua Fan over some Bodhi root. It was the same as cutting off one's legs. So you want to lean on Luo clan? Peony Overseer pouted. Still against it. Zhua Fan stole their stuff, yet they still turned to him for help? Wasn't that like asking a thief for asylum? Drifting Flowers edifice's name would be dragged through the mud. Her sisters, as well grandmother, smiled in reply. Yes, Zhua Fan had made us a promise back when he was in trouble. We can rely on him. Now that he is one of the big players, he is our support. It's all just a repaid investment, ha ha ha. Peony, you usually go off the deep end and are frank. You are kind at heart, but not suited to be the edifice lord. As the one bearing the responsibility of Drifting Flowers edifices, one has to be flexible and set your gaze beyond the present moment. A useless thing like reputation will only drag us down. Grandmother shook her head. Peony Overseer blushed, knowing her own defects as well. What was that large noise just now anyway? Grandmother turned to the rest. They all shook their heads. Someone burst in tears. Grandmother, overseers, the three venerables. What about the venerables? Grandmother asked, frantically sniffing. The girl wailed. The venerables self-destructed to deal with Huangpu Fonglei. What? Grandmother shuddered, then spat blood. Tears streaking her face. Grandmother! The others panicked. Grandmother waved them off. It was my mistake to lead them to their doom. If only I heeded the Luo clan's warnings and retreated, they would have been alive and wouldn't have died in vain. Grandmother, the only one to blame is Zhua Fan. He betrayed our trust first. We could never overlook this transgression. Peony Overseer advised. Grandmother shook her hand, talking after a pause. The three venerables' death is on me, but we can't bicker over Drifting Flowers edifice's calamity. What about Huangpu Fonglei? What's going on outside? Grandmother, Huangpu Fonglei is badly hurt and has withdrawn from battle. Yen Ba Gong and the others are attacking our barriers while sisters are pushing them back. They can hold on for the time being. Regent Estates, High Venerable? What about the Regent Estate itself? Grandmother asked. The girl shook her head. Grandmother, there's no sign of them. That means Regent Estate isn't involved. Grandmother squinted. Overseers, join the defenses and never attack, only resist. Guard Drifting Flowers edifices and wait for our allies. Understood. Everyone bowed. Meanwhile, Yen Bagong, Lin Rafeng, and Yuan Shan attacked the city for 3 months, although 3 houses united was a force to reckon with. Drifting Flowers Edifice's defenses were like a steel wall. Even after all this time, they had only punched through 26 barriers. With dozens more to go, how many years would that take? For God's sake, I should have just brought all my venerables. Lin Rafeng panted, peering over the city and at the mountain in the distance. What the hell is Regent Estate and those rotten divine dragons doing? They decided on this attack, yet now they are taking the back seat while we risk our necks? What's so scary about Drifting Flowers Edifices, anyway? If we'd all pitch in, it'd be over and done with by now. Calm down. Yuan Shan advised. Sir Lung said we're baiting the aid. While we have Drifting Flowers Edifices on the ropes, they'll attack the reinforcements. I heard Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Sword Marquise, Abode's forces, have been beaten back many times already. Humph! Regent Estate can handle those guys with a modicum of effort. What's the point of having all of them in the back as support? Lin Rafeng mocked. Yen Bagong shook his head. House Lord Lin, don't say that. They aren't much hassle. True, but what if Shuo Fan comes? Rumble. Lin Rufing's face fell, and his voice was cut off on the day of Luo clan's ceremony. They all witnessed its power and glory. Besides the abomination dubbed Shuo Fan, they had 10 elders, each stronger than the next, violent and savage. Not even Regent Estate wanted to pick a fight with them. Lin Rafeng waved his hand. Let's just keep attacking. Yuan Shan and Yen Bagong chuckled inside. Yuan Shan slapped his chest in full confidence. Worry not, the city will soon fall. My 3 venerables are coming in 2 days, with Radiant Stage experts clearing a path for us. Their guarding array will be no obstacle. Yuan Shan beamed with pride. Want to break Drifting Flower City? Only we can do it. Yen Bagong snickered. With Valley Lord Yu's Homa wreckage, you don't need Radiant Stage experts to defend it. While our men are just too homesick to leave, ha ha ha. Lin Rafeng mocked. Yuan Shan's face fell. It cut him deep. Each time he was reminded of the ruined Hell Valley. What he wanted was to get merit in this battle and earn Regent Estate's compensation. But Lin Rafeng and Yen Bagong, the bastards, had to poke where it hurt. Humph, you'll see. Shuo Fan will take good care of your shacks, just as well. We'll see who's laughing then. Yuan Shan's mind was filled with malicious curses. Chapter 431, Most Dangerous Ally. Chapter 431, Most Dangerous Ally. Sir Lung, any updates? In a quiet little room, Lung Wucheng was sitting at a desk deep in thought when Huangpu Tianyuan came in laughing. With Drifting Flowers Edifices under siege for 3 months now, small fries keep on coming. It's so boring. When will a big fish bite anyway? Sir Lung, what do you reckon that big fish is planning right now? After a bow, Lung Wucheng sighed. Estate Lord, our plan and reality do not match, I'm afraid. Where exactly? Huangpu Tianyuan asked Lung. Wucheng spoke. Our main plan to bait the aid involved faking an attack on Drifting Flowers Edifices to draw Shuo Fan out. With Estate Lord's 9 dragons diamond body, we'd catch Shuo Fan by surprise and finish him off in one swift blow. However, what? Huangpu Tianyuan asked impatiently. Lung Wucheng shook his head. The way it has played out is that we've fallen for it. What, how? Huangpu Tianyuan jerked. Lung Wucheng said, by being a borrowed knife. Unsettled. Huangpu Tianyuan eyed him. Lung Wucheng explained. It may be that we predicted Shuo Fan's aim all wrong. His vision is far wider. We thought he would protect his allies to secure his power. But with Drifting Flowers Edifices under siege for months, yet there being no sign of Luo clan, it goes to show that he has abandoned them. If anything, he was counting on us to destroy Drifting Flowers Edifices for him. What? Huangpu Tianyuan trembled. To what end? What does he get from this? Humph, plenty. Lung Wucheng snickered. A man without roots is the easiest to sway. Even if Drifting Flowers Edifices survived and he won in the end, Drifting Flowers Edifices, being who it is, will remain only an ally. But when Drifting Flowers Edifices falls, he'd accept the women with open arms, getting them on his side and leaving only the world for the taking. Such a cunning plan, what a twisted mind. Even I could only deduce this from the current state. Zhuo Fan is a truly diabolical mastermind. By my calculations, he not only wants us to destroy Drifting Flowers Edifices, but all his allies. He will then take them in like a good Samaritan, and they, in their moment of gratitude and weakness, will accept the conversion wholeheartedly. Even Lung Wuchang felt cold sweat on his brow. At this point, Zhuo Fan's insidious ploys never left room for errors. Using cloak and daggers to stab at his own allies through his enemies, even Lung Wuchang had fallen for such a mastermind's devious schemes. Zhuo Fan is the most dangerous ally so far. Huangpu Tianyuan panicked inside. Veiled Dragon Pavilion was the first to care for the Luo clan, and Zhuo Fan once had close ties with Chu Qingqing. Is he that dead inside to throw everything aside and plot against them? That's what makes Zhuo Fan such an abomination. Lung Wuchang sighed. A man of ambition only looks at things from a perspective and never lets some platonic relationships drag him down. Huangpu Tianyuan nodded. But how did he know we'd attack Drifting Flowers Edifices with the 3 houses? Ha ha ha, Estate Lord, do you remember when we planned to divide our forces into 3 and take them all down at the same time? Who is it that proposed we attack one house at a time and bait the aid? Lung Wuchang's eyes glinted. Huangpu Tianyuan shouted, Fang Qiubai! Him indeed. Lung Wuchang nodded. I didn't think much of it at the time, figuring flushing Zhuo Fan out and removing him from the picture at the earliest was better. But now, ha ha ha, it has been the imperial family playing us all along. The emperor's involved too. Yes. Lung Wuchang patted the shocked Huangpu Tianyuan. Huangpu Tianyuan was still finding it odd. Doesn't the emperor want us to eliminate Zhuo Fan? Why is he on his side now? Was that ruckus at the palace all an act for the Regent Estate's eyes? Not at all. Estate Lord is overthinking things. Back when Zhuo Fan and the emperor had a falling out, the emperor wanted to get rid of Zhuo Fan, but also of us. Lung Wuchang explained with a smile. Ha ha ha, here's what I think happened. The emperor had divine dragons come to us as helpers, but used them to find our plan of attack on Drifting Flowers Edifices and gave it over to Zhuo Fan. With the prick's cunning nature, he knew that standing on the side and taking a beating will get his allies wiped out. So he attacked Hell Valley. The emperor caught on to his action and had the divine dragons propose the baiting the aid plan, not to draw Zhuo Fan out, but to give him time to ruin Pilking Hall and Merry Woods. The imperial family's master plan isn't to have one of us 2 destroyed, but to have both of us on our last leg at our weakest. Lung Wuchang got the gist of it, more or less. Except for one thing, it was Zhuo Fan's intelligence network that got wind of their plans, and it was him cueing the emperor in, leaving the imperial family to be one step behind. Zhuo Fan had complete control of the situation across the board, something the imperial family never intended to happen, but it wasn't something one could hold against unwanted contriver. Since the human pillars were a super secret art from Zhuo Fan's endless bag of tricks, even if he smashed his head and combed through the gray matter, he'd still not figure it out. Figuring as much as he did was quite commendable, though sighing. Huangpu Tianyuan nodded. Damn the emperor and his sharp mind. Just how can I take advantage of you? What's the point in staying here, then, if Zhuo Fan is a no-show? Men, everyone go back to Drifting Flowers Edifices and capture it in one move. We'll then handle Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Sword Marquise abode the same way. We just have to be faster than Zhuo Fan. Catch him when he's down, then take the emperor's head. Not so fast. Lung Wuchang said, Estate Lord, we have to follow the emperor's intent. Or instead of watching from the sidelines, he'd see Zhuo Fan weak and help him from the shadows. That's the worst outcome for us. What's there to fear? With my 9 dragons, diamond body the world. It is for this reason that we need to exercise caution. Lung Wuchang cut him off. Your secret is to deal with Zhuo Fan. If it comes out now, he'll play some counters, and we'll have an even harder time dealing with him. Estate lord, don't you want to take in these vagrants? Huangpu Tianyuan showed a wide smile. Sir Lung, you mean? Shuafan's scheme is groundbreaking and ingenious. Why not apply the same idea to our side? With a sneaky smile, Lung Wuchang continued, he wants us to help him get his allies in line, and that's what we'll do. But won't he help us getting our own allies as well? Hell Valley's people are already homeless and can only turn to Regent Estate for shelter. That only leaves Pilking Hall and Merrywoods. Estate Lord only needs to seize this chance to subdue them and their lands for the future. Isn't it a shame to let such a prime chance go? Huangpu Tianyuan cackled. Sir Lung, you're saying we should thank Shuafan for giving us such a wonderful idea. We'd never thought such an ingenious trick can get us all the 7 houses, and without any bad blood between us either. Ha ha ha, you should show your thanks by leaving his corpse intact. Lung Wuchang smiled. Huangpu Tianyuan laughed. After all the talks, nothing had changed. Regent Estate's experts were still lazily waiting for the baiting the aid to catch something, and Huangpu Tianyuan's 3 allies were still working their asses off attacking Drifting Flower City. A few more days later, however, Drifting Flower City was still holding solid, but with heavy casualties. 7 overseers had died, as well the defenses wouldn't hold for long if this kept up. Whoosh. In their moment of great despair, a green jade slip flew into Grandmother's hand. Grandmother laughed. It's from our allies. We're saved. Hope blossomed. Grandmother scanned the jade slip and froze. With a crack, the jade scattered into pieces on the floor. Chapter 432 on your own. Chapter 432 on your own. What's wrong, Grandmother? Everyone cried. Grandmother sighed. It is a message from Pavilion. Lord Long Regent Estate has indeed assisted in our siege. But instead of helping Hell Valley and the others, it is stopping our reinforcements. Pavilion Lord Long's side has suffered heavy casualties and was forced into retreating. We're on our own. What? The women shook their heads in grief. They had held on so far, hanging on to the hope that help was on the way, but with even their support under heavy attack, they had sunk into the pits of despair. They could hold on for just a few short months before they would be breached. Drifting Flowers' edifices was hanging by a thread. Everyone sighed. Feeling death closer than ever, Grandmother's eyes flashed with determination. Overseers, split into 5 teams and break out tonight. We will meet again at Flying Cloud City, 1,000 miles away. Grandmother, I know this is dangerous, with a high chance of being wiped out, but it's better than sitting around for the axe to drop. We still have dozens of defenses in effect. They will never expect us to make such a risky move. Breaking through is our best bet. If we wait any longer, they'll raise their guard. Grandmother squinted. The others nodded. It was the most dangerous, yet most promising course of action. Waiting any longer would have even this chance robbed off of them. The overseers bowed. Understood, Grandmother. The moon hung high in the night sky, with a seldom cloud marring its glow every now and then. Outside Drifting Flower City, the disciples of the 3 houses withdrew after a long day of work, leaving a few hundred guards. 1 overseer took its 1,000 disciples under the cover of the night outside the city. They moved fast, like panthers, and were upon the unsuspecting guards in seconds. Ein dash! The guard's cry was cut short at the swipe of a Drifting Flowers' edifice's disciple's blade across his neck. His eyes were still wide as he hit the pool of blood on the ground. Drifting Flowers' edifice's disciples split in teams of 3 to 5 members. Robbing the lives of guards and ensuring the success of this mission slip-up was bound to happen at some point regardless. A guard threw a jade slip into the air. The jade slip exploded in a shower of light. Revealing the shadows in its glaring display, the overseer shouted, "We've been spotted. Sisters, forget everything and just attack. Charge!" The 1,000 disciples rushed together towards the garrison of the 3 houses. As they shouted, the house lords were out at the first sign of warning, guiding their disciples. Seeing it was just 1,000 people coming at them, they relaxed. That's it? These broads make a night raid with 1,000 warriors? That's not nearly enough to get us warmed up. Ha ha ha. Lin Ruffin disdained. Yin Bagong nodded with a smile. True. with only some average overseers in the lead. What can they do even if they reach us? Since when did that Chu Biju and Shrew turn senile? You should send more people if you want to attack. These few are of no use. And what if they have different plans? I intend to capture an overseer and wring it out of her. This'll be some nice and easy merit. Yuan Shan's eyes glinted. The other two nodded inside. Yuan Shan sure makes sense. They both charged as well. With their level, this would be a walk in the park. Yuan Shan snickered in the back. Carefree bam. Lin Ruffing was the first to arrive with his uncanny speed. A single palm had the overseer flying, and heavily wounded Lin Ruffing snickered, glancing at Yen Bagong coming over with cocksure attitude. Ha ha ha, it looks like the credit is all mine. Humph, of course it comes easy to you when you run faster than a hare. As for how much credit you get, it remains to be seen. Yen Bagong smiled. Lin Ruffing brushed his remark off, grabbing the woman. Merit is merit either way. Ha ha ha, lass, why are you attacking at night? The overseer merely held her head high, watching the moon. Her 1,000 disciples were defeated as well, most dead, others captured, and very few escaped. Lin Ruffing's hand tightened and flooded her body with yuan qi. The woman's brow creased and sweated from the unimaginable pain. But she still didn't make a peep. Humph, you sure are tough. Let me relieve you of a hand first. Lin Ruffing shouted. The woman was still moon-gazing. Lin Ruffing was pissed, but Yen Bagong stopped him before he got to any cutting. Ha ha ha, House Lord Lin, this girl is an overseer. Standard interrogation won't work on her. I have with me 100 ant pill. It will feel like thousands of ant bites all over the body. Such pain and torment is worse than death. Can I give it a try? Humph, you rotten geezer. You're stealing my thunder. It was obvious to Lin Ruffing's what the old man's game was, but it wasn't like he was getting anything out of the stubborn lass, either if by some chance the info she had was priceless. Delaying it would have Regent Estate yell Mary Wood's ears out. Lin Ruffing sighed and handed her over. Fine, let's see if your 100 ant pill is as good as you say. Prepare to be amazed, ha ha ha. Yen Bagong forced her jaw open and threw the pill, and the woman twitched and jerked and started sweating harder than ever, but she still kept her lips tight, even chewing them to the point of bleeding. Ha ha ha, it must hurt like hell. Stinging, itching, tingling, and let's not forget the excruciating pain. With a cackle, Yen Bagong approached her ear. No one can stand it more than 2 hours. You better fess up, and I'll relieve you of your torment. Why must you be so stubborn? Talk, why are you attacking? The woman gnashed her teeth harder, and her face contorted. Yen Bagong wasn't going anywhere, just looking at her in confidence. Then help yourself to a world of hurt. Just let me know when the going gets too tough, all right? I'll be waiting, ha ha ha. Yen Bagong spoke like a winner. Yuan Shan at the side had a lazy and vague smile. An hour into the torture, the woman was red like a ripe tomato and could no longer take it. Give it to me now. I'll talk. I'll tell you everything. Yen Bagong glanced at Lin Ruffing in pride and threw a pill in her mouth. The woman calmed down while shivering. Ha ha ha, now talk. Don't think for a second that I'll believe you if you say you came to capture our camp with so few people. What's your aim? Speak the truth. Yen Bagong smiled. The woman looked at the sky and showed a pleased smile. Ha ha ha, it's too late. You're too late. What's going on? Talk. Yen Bagong frowned. The woman mocked him. I led my team here knowing full well that all we'll find is death. Our mission was quite simple, really. To kill the guards and fake a raid and, once discovered, stall. Grandmother and the rest have already left. You're too late in catching up, ha ha ha. What? This was a diversion. Yen Bagong shuddered and cursed. Damn that bitch and her schemes. That had acted all dignified for so long, and we never thought she'd sacrifice an overseer, to save herself no less. Humph! You really showed me, Lady of Steel. Yen Bagong fumed under the woman's sneer. Lin Ruffing was already thinking about how to explain this to Regent Estate, only Yuan Shan had a prideful look and a crafty grin. Chapter 433. Life in Desperation. Chapter 433. life in desperation. The sun's morning rays spilled on the land, dispelling the darkness and promising hope in a gloomy ravine. Grandmother took her group to a creek for a drop of water. They all looked weary and tired, with Grandmother having it worse due to the poison. Grandmother, here's some water. One disciple showed consideration for her grandmother, patted the child's head, and looked to the east heartbroken. I heard from last night's 5 teams. Gelder Rose's team was spotted. For the sake of our journey to safety, they drew the enemy and must have died by now. I have let them down. Grandmother, Overseer Gelder Rose, is like all of us, willing to lay down their life for Drifting Flowers edifices. She would never blame you. Peony Overseer appeased Grandmother, shook her head in tears whoosh. Iris Overseer flashed in front of them, her face turned heavy, looking around as she spoke. Grandmother, the way forward is blocked, and they're now searching for us on their way over here. What? Grandmother cried and shook. If not for someone holding her steady, she would have collapsed by now. Did they foresee our plan to escape? How? Grandmother asked incredulously. Who is coming after us? Iris Overseer replied. Grandmother, their group is made of youths led by Hell Valley's Grand Elder and 5th Elder. Did Hell Valley guess our attempt to flee? Ever since you geeky died, they've never had such guile. Shaking her head, Grandmother felt bitter regret festering inside. I've completely lost. Back in Drifting Flowers edifices, they could still hold on for a couple of months with their defenses. But here, turned into stragglers, they stood no chance against any group. Their escape was a bold gamble win, and Drifting Flowers edifices would one day rise from the ashes. Lose, and their deaths would be all the more tragic. It was quite obvious now what hand she had played. I have been far-sighted all my life only to make mistakes over and over at the end, ruining Drifting Flowers edifice's legacy. I am ashamed to meet my ancestors in the underworld. Grandmother, cried the others sighed as well, hanging their desolate faces on a hill behind them. Footsteps sounded that had everyone on edge. All the eyes looked over tense and frightened. Meanwhile, Hell Valley's army of thousands was combing through the area, zeroing in on Grandmother's location. Between Grand Elder and 5th Elder was a man in gray, Yuming taking in the lush vegetation. Yuming's eyes flashed. Yuming, you've grown so much in skill over the years. I still can't believe that old hag would leave the city and its defenses and make for such a daring attempt. We never would have had such an easy time trapping so many of them if it weren't for you. I wonder how much merit will this get us? Ha ha ha, Grand Elder praised. Each elder nodded. Ha ha ha. Yuming is turning out to resemble the 7th Elder more and more. No, I do not want to become my master. I want to surpass him. Yuming sighed. Grand Elder, has Grandmother been caught? Grand Elder shook his head. In their attempt to flee, we've captured 4 teams, but neither had that old hag among them. Perfect. Yuming nodded. He gave the signal to stop, peering at a hill in front of them. Wait here while I look ahead. Yuming, why is it that you always go ahead? Are you trying to take all the credit? 5th Elder asked. Yuming smiled. I am only an advisor, 5th Elder. How can I take down thousands of people by myself and steal your credit? I only want to check for signs of them passing through here and their direction. With all of us going ahead, it will mask all the clues. Old 5th, you're so petty. Grand Elder glared. Yuming earned the most merit in the first place with his plan. Why would he steal ours then? I was just messing around. Don't mind it, Yuming. 5th Elder scratched his head. Yuming nodded. Rushing up the hill, what he saw beyond the hill had him wide-eyed. Grandmother and her people were tense, but ready to fight to the last. The only choice now was to go down fighting, yet Yuming made a signal for them to stay quiet. They all looked stumped. Yuming turned around and shouted to Grand Elder. Drifting Flowers edifice's team passed through here. They must have gone in that direction. You might catch them if you give chase. Yuming's finger picked a random spot. Grand Elder was overjoyed and led his men into a chase. With their trust in Yuming and the hills separating them, They had no clue their quarry was just over yonder. They were so close, yet oh so far. The women were stumped, looking tensed at Yuming. Why would someone from Hell Valley help them? With the army behind him gone, Yuming said, "Everyone from Drifting Flowers edifices, east and west, are blocked. Only north and south have been searched already, and there's no one there. But I highly recommend going south. In those tall mountains and dense forest, it's easy to hide." Yuming left. One moment. Grandmother cried, "Thank you, sir, for your timely rescue. But why did you help us?" Yuming mocked. "Help you? Ha ha, you're rich. It's never worth betraying my house over some strays. Just send this message to Zhuofan. He owes me one." Yuming flew after Hell Valley's men. Grandmother felt bitter and despondent. Zhuofan had cast such a huge shadow that even the enemy had people hoping to get on his good side. The youth just now wouldn't have helped them otherwise. They all felt sour at the revelation grandmother was known to all houses for 100 years. Yet her name had less weight than an upstart. Who'd have thought Zhuofan's name can make one betray his house? How could we be so different? No one knew that the true mastermind behind their current plight was none other than their savior. Yuming, he did it all for Zhuofan. Not that Zhuofan asked him, of course, but Zhuofan's handiwork had left him with no other choice ever since Zhuofan raised Hell Valley. The guy was homeless. It hit him the instant the news reached him. Zhuofan took care of Hell Valley to force him to renounce his unflinching trust for his house as long as Hell Valley stood. He was one of them, and betraying one's king never came easy, but with his home up in smokes, Hell Valley was gone for good. Even though Yuan Shan took his elders to follow Regent Estate to attack Drifting Flowers edifices, and Regent Estate would never entertain the notion of helping them rebuild, deciding on a far better approach, to absorb them as it stood. This vagrant, who used to be at a three-way crossroads, found only two paths forward: Regent Estate and Zhuofan. Under these circumstances, he had put aside the good of the house and was putting himself first. Breaking Drifting Flowers edifices was gaining credit in front of Regent Estate, while letting Drifting Flowers edifices go was doing Zhuofan a solid. No matter which of these two behemoths ended up ruling the lands, he had a way out. This was his plan, to be a double agent. I can't help but wonder who'll be my lord in the end. Ha ha ha. Yuming shook his head. The women heeded Yuming's advice and escaped the Four Houses siege and bumped into their rescue team. Grandmother, "Steward Zhua has had us waiting for you here for ages." Qiu Yanhai cupped his hands. Chapter 434, Rescue and Attack. Chapter 434, Rescue and Attack. The women got startled, thinking the enemy was upon them, but on a closer look it was only Luo clan's power couple, and thus they breathed easier. Bowing, Grandmother spoke. "Elders, it's so good to see you in this hour of desperate need. Our houses are allies after all. It's only natural to help." Qiu Yanhai replied in kind, then turned serious. "Grandmother, there's something I don't understand. We've clearly given you ample warning about Regent Estate's assault, yet why were you so passive?" Grandmother, and the overseers flushed, hanging their heads in shame. "These elders are clearly hinting at our mistrust in the Luo clan, that we stalled making a decision for so long. That was like calling them petty and suspicious. But at least they did rescue them with a cough." Grandmother fought through the awkwardness. "To be honest, I've been in seclusion for so long, and the information was left to the others. They were too shallow in their thinking and didn't take it seriously that the Regent Estate would attack. When I came out, I was beset with enemies at the gates, and it was already too late. I am truly ashamed. A.M." Grandmother coughed with a red face. It was a first for her to tell such an obvious lie in front of everyone, and to shift the blame on her girls. It only made her more ashamed. What other choice was there? She couldn't just come clean and say it was an honest mistake on her part. It had cut away at the house's trust with how they had turned into strays. They couldn't afford to push away Luo clan's help. "Oh, I see," Qiu Yanhai and Xue Qingjian said while beaming inside. Zhuofan had called it ever since he got Drifting Flowers Edifice's call for help. And these two were obviously clued in as well. Just that. To complete Zhuo Fan's master plan of adding drifting flowers edifices to the Luo clan, these two had to rein in the teasing, lest they ruin the demonic steward scheme, so they could only laugh inside, nodding at the hag's lame excuse, but they couldn't wipe that silly grin off their faces. Grandmother figured out on the spot that the two were in on her difficulties and turned away from those taunting stares. Humph. You don't know how to take help at face value, so you suspected our info? Look who's down in the dumps now. Grandmother felt bitter inside. Peony Overseer was outraged, since you knew about the attack on us for so long. Why didn't you come help earlier? Were you waiting for us to be destroyed before acting? What kind of an ally are you? Girlie, we wouldn't be here in the first place otherwise. Qiu Yanhai was a radiant stage expert. He showed class to the women on behalf of Zhuo Fan, but would he let a profound heaven overseer just talk back to him? Grandmother mediated. Elder Qiu, please calm down. Peony is just so brash. Please don't mind her. Grandmother then chastised. Peony, Elder Qiu has come from afar to help us, so the least you could do is show some consideration. Apologize. Humph, screw apologies. If their rescue is real, why are there so few of them, and without even Zhuo Fan? They have no intention to help us, clearly. Peony Overseer shouted. Qiu Yanhai snickered in rage. Ignorant lass, what does a bunch of thoughtless broads like you know of Steward Zhuo's intricate planning? When he received your plea for help, Steward Zhuo knew you'd never look at him the same way for taking your Bodhi route or believe his messages. Steward Zhuo even warned us not to say this, or it would break the ties between the houses. But you've given me no choice. Humph. Does that give him the right to steal our precious treasure? Peony Overseer didn't back down even against a radiant stage expert. Grandmother kept on pulling her, but it was no use. These two are with Luo clan now, but they're still known as monsters in Tianyu. How could you irk them? Confronting them here was the dumbest thing one could do. Qiu Yanhai clenched his fists. You listen here, girl, if not for Steward Zhuo, I would have snapped your neck for this gross lack of respect. Qiu Yanhai's savage aura exploded and sent shivers down everyone's spine. Grandmother paled, pulling Peony Overseer behind her and glaring at her to keep her trap shut. They had barely gotten out alive from one siege and were now about to find their end at their own allies' hands over a petty squabble. They're stronger than everyone here, yet you're still nagging. Grandmother sighed, feeling like giving Peony Overseer a good ass kicking. It's been so long, yet your temper has never mellowed. We may even die from it. They all gulped with fear, watching Qiu Yanhai on edge. Xue Qingjian diffused the heavy mood with a smile, pulling Qiu Yanhai over. Ha ha ha, we're all on the same side. Why must we bicker? Right, Grandmother? Yes, Elder Xue is totally right. Grandmother was quick to grab the lifeline, bowing to Qiu Yanhai. Elder Qiu, forgive me. I have failed to teach her properly. It is all my fault, and I ask that Elder Qiu restrain his anger. Grandmother's bow was real low, her Lady of Steel vibe gone. Leaving her with no prestige, this scene dawned on every overseer that they were now homeless and had lost all their pride. Qiu Yanhai snorted. Xue Qingjian smiled. Big lug, they've already apologized. Show some consideration. Humph. Qiu Yanhai flared his nose. His chin still way out. Xue Qingjian turned serious and kicked his ass, launching into a tirade. Now you're ignoring me, is that it? I thought I told you to show some consideration. Qiu Yanhai's cocky attitude was gone, looking at Xue Qingjian like the victim. Then he waved it all off with a cough at Grandmother. It's fine. I am not so petty, am. Perhaps it was all too awkward, but he coughed and raised his head again. Drifting flowers, edifices. Women were stunned, even Grandmother. She snapped out of it with a thanks, though, while the women laughed inside. Ah, that explains it. The savage Elder Qiu is whipped. Xue Qingjian came to Grandmother and Peony Overseer with a smile. Don't mind him, his temper is always burning hot. It comes and goes just as fast. As for the Bodhi root, Steward Zhuo forbade us from mentioning it. You will have to ask him when you meet. I wouldn't dare. Grandmother shook her head, relieved. Xue Qingjian had her consideration in mind. Guaranteeing Qiu Yanhai wouldn't mess with them later, the stress of having an 8th layer of Radiant Stage expert after you would give one nightmares also, Xue Qingjian said. After hearing your plea for help, Steward Zhua split his forces. While we were here as relief, he led an attack on Pilking Hall. Pilking Hall? Why? Peony Overseer became a sourpuss again, but a glare from grandmother shut her up. Qiu Yanhai mocked. That's why I said you are ignorant. In his infinite wisdom, Steward Zhua knew of your siege and was thinking about how to assist. He foresaw Sword Marquis Abode and Veiled Dragon Pavilion coming to help but getting pushed back with heavy losses. You thought Steward Zhua would lead his own people into a trap. I'll have you know that Steward Zhua is attacking Pilking Hall to get them to fall back. Reports on the attack on Pilking Hall should be coming in right about now, getting Regent Estate and the rest to come to its rescue. Wouldn't that relieve your city of the siege? We would then come in with our thousands of troops and coordinate with you in destroying them. A shame you couldn't even last that long. Drifting Flowers edifices, people felt like crying, blast it. We got out too soon. We should have stayed put a few more days and the relief would have come, saving Drifting Flowers edifices. Grandmother felt sick to her stomach. It was a severe lapse in judgment. Only the power couple giggled inside at their mournful looks. Sigh. Drifting Flowers edifices almost got played to death, tossed between Steward Zhua and Regent Estate. But this is sure to guarantee their change of heart. Chapter 435, True Expert. Chapter 435, True Expert. Ha ha ha! Valley Lord Yu had his men capture the Drifting Flowers edifice's runaways and have earned great merit. A toast to you, Valley Lord Yu. In a wide courtyard, Regent Estate held a feast. Huangpu Tianyuan sat in the main seat. With the house lords and divine dragons at his sides, Huangpu Tianyuan looked flushed, laughing like the world was his oyster, and toasting to Hell Valley's success. Yu Wanshan faked modesty. Huangpu Tianyuan, a state lord, is too kind. It was my duty. Humph, hypocrite. Yen Bagong and Lin roughing spat in their minds, eyeing him with ill intent. While the two of them were breaking their backs attacking the arrays, this guy had it easy casting his net and capturing the fleeing women, like a treacherous scum. The two wanted to tear into Yuan Shan there, and then Yuan Shan noticed their envy and turned around with a genial smile. It only worked to stoke their anger. What are you gloating about, you stray? You have no home. Oh, Valley Lord Yu, impressive move there, capturing Drifting Flowers edifice's women. Only, how exactly did you know what they were going to do? Lung Wucheng asked. Yuan Shan bowed and reported. Sir Lung, the success isn't all mine, but the credit falls on my capable assistant. Yu Wanshan pointed at a gray robe. He is Hell Valley's new advisor, Yu Ming, the last disciple of the late Yu Giki. Everyone turned to Yu Ming. Yu Giki was the third greatest mind in Tianyu. Although a shame he fell at the hands of Zhuo Fan, he was quite the character. It went without saying that his disciple ought to at least live up to the name of his master, so everyone scrutinized Yu Ming. Even Huangpu Tianyuan. Yu Ming bowed and took his seat again. Lung Wucheng sized him up, nodding. I see now why Hell Valley has moved with purpose and precision as of late. You have an advisor now. Ha ha ha. Heroes always come young. Sir Yu Ming, by your guess, where do you think the fleeing Drifting Flowers edifice's women turn to? To be quite frank, I do not know. However, knowing how stubborn grandmother is, and going by her name as Lady of Steel, she isn't one to give up. Sooner or later this day was bound to come, and she planned accordingly. I just never imagined she would be so bold as to break the siege while they still had some fight left in them. Capturing so many of her disciples was just a happy coincidence, although it is regrettable that grandmother and the overseers got away. Yu Ming sighed. My skill is still poor, and many things escape me. Hope Estate Lord can forgive me. Yen Bagong and Lin Roofing's faces twitched in tandem. Poser! My stars and garters! This punk is just like Yuan Shan. bragging and faking humility. If you grabbed all those prisoners by mistake, does that mean the two houses who got Jack squat should hang themselves? The two lords flared their nostrils and panted in rage. The siege of Drifting Flowers edifices had come up with the vagrant Hell Valley as the definite winner. Something these two would never accept. Lung Wuchang smiled. Sir Yuming is so modest. How can it be a mistake when you have gained such merit? Ha ha. Huangpu Tianyuan nodded. Yuming, you truly take after your master. Hell Valley will go far with you by their side. Estate Lord is too kind. Yuming nodded. Wan Shan laughed in pride. Believing rebuilding Hell Valley was just around the corner, Yan Bagong mocked. Humph! What future can a house with a robbed home ever have? What did you say? Wan Shan roared despite Hell Valley's heavy looks. Yan Bagong still had a look of contempt. Turning his head in mockery, a whoosh announced the arrival of a green flash. Yan Bagong caught it. He read the jade carefully and paled. He dropped to his knees then and there and begged. Estate Lord Huangpu, I beg of you rescue Pilking Hall. What on earth has happened, Hall Lord Yen? Huangpu Tianyuan asked. Yan Bagong was erratic. Zijuefan is laying waste to Pilking Hall. My house's legacy is about to be turned to dust. Please, Estate Lord, send aid. What? They couldn't believe their ears. Zhuefan was now after Pilking Hall. Huangpu Tianyuan and Leng Wucheng looked shocked, but a glimmer of a smile was hidden in their eyes. Yuan Shan enjoyed how the tables had turned, laughing carefree. Talk about righteous retribution. Yan Bugong's eyes went red. Who told him to look down on another man's misfortune? He had no way to retort, and looked pleadingly at Huangpu Tianyuan. Estate Lord Huangpu, you must help me. The entire Pilking Hall will be eternally grateful. Stroking his chin, Huangpu Tianyuan turned to Lung Wuchang. Lung Wuchang had come prepared, putting on a heavy look to match the mood. Zhuefan is too vile and insidious. Going in without a plan will set us up for disaster, falling for his devious ploy. To the best of my knowledge, we should instead attack his allies to force him away. We will attack Veiled Dragon Pavilion, and that will make him come to their rescue. Won't that relieve Pilking Hall? Zhuefan would have given Lung Wuchang the biggest thumbs up if he was here. Nice. You took the words right out of my mouth. The two were in tune with each other on this, using each other's actions as an excuse to further their personal agenda. Besides, I'm providing relief, just not directly. I have my best insider working on it as we speak, so you can't fault me for being a bad ally. The result? The 8 noble houses were falling one by one, leaving Luo clan and Regent estate the only ones left standing. The Exodus had no choice but to rely on them, boosting their power. In short, all of them would be laid to waste, with only these 2 masterminds making out alive like bandits. Yuming saw through it as well, and side inside. Now this is an overt plot. You may know every detail, but would still be powerless to stop it. Each side has their own mastermind acting as coordinator, and the houses are the fodder. Be it an ally or an enemy, all of you will end up getting chewed and spit out. Seeing Yuan Shan's condescending look for him, Yan Bagong sighed inside. He had finally figured out the difference between Yu Giki, Lung Wucheng, and Zhuge Changfeng. Skilled at working behind the scenes, yet powerless in the face of an open scheme. Zhuge Changfeng, Zhuefan, Lung Wucheng, the Emperor, all are true experts. Meanwhile, within 2 months, Shui Qingjian finally got the thousands of Drifting Flowers edifices women back to Wingay City. Zhuefan had long since come out to welcome them. Of course, grandmother, as I live and breathe. I welcome you. Zhuefan spoke with hands behind his back. Grandmother bowed from dozens of meters away. I thank you, Steward Zhua, for the assistance in Drifting Flowers Edifice's hour of need, for taking the time to come see us in person. I can't say how honored I am. How can you say that, grandmother? We are allies. Of course I'd help you. It must be that grandmother must still be hurting for what I did back then, Zhuefan sighed. It is all my fault for betraying your trust and for your suffering now. The more Joa Fan showed his remorse, the more guilty. She felt she had been suspicious of him from the first message that arrived, and still blamed it on him, leaving her with an even worse feeling of making the wrong accusations. Peony Overseer had no such qualms. "Talk then! Why did you steal our heirloom?" "Peony." "Grandmother," glared Joa Fan waved. "I admit it was wrong stealing from you. I have no excuse. For that, I have let everyone down when you needed me the most. I didn't wish for this to happen. There's no need for excuses. Steward Joa, you have done nothing wrong." Shui Qingjian intervened. "Did you know that Regent Estate had young Miss and young Master in their clutches, forcing Steward Joa to commit such a vile act? What would you have done, grandmother?" "Elder Shui, you're out of line." Joa Fan berated, but Drifting Flowers Edifices got the full picture, that the bastards from Regent Estate had pushed him. Chapter 436, Refining a War Puppet. Chapter 436, Refining a War Puppet. That devious Regent Estate and Long Wucheng, that snake. Grandmother gnashed her teeth, Joa Fan sighed. Grandmother need not say that. They're not that vile. It was me who betrayed you despite our ties. It is all on me. The only one you can take it out on is also me. A man has to do what a man must. I can take it. Oh, no, Steward Joa. I am not so unwise as to take out on you. I could never blame you now that I know the source of our misfortune. Elder Shui is right. Anyone would have done it if it were them, including me. It is not within my right to judge you, Steward Joa. The more Joa Fan gave his head on a platter, the more he made grandmother feel bad. Riddling her with guilt and shame, she ended up cursing Regent Estate some more. That wretched and vile and degenerate Regent Estate wanted to incite discord among us. Lung Wucheng is even worse. I bet he came up with that despicable plan. He stands back while Regent Estate is put to work, forcing you into driving a wedge between us. Alas, I did fall for their ploy, doubting Luo clan and resulting in today's calamity. This is all my fault. Grandmother cried again. Joa Fan blinked whether Lung Wucheng aimed for this when forcing him to get the Bodhi root he didn't know. But one thing he was certain of, Regent Estate was packed with experts. While Drifting Flowers Edifices women are impulsive, not to sound narcissistic. But the task of stealing their great treasure could and would only be done by yours truly. No one else had the skills nor the expertise to pull off such a heist, yet grandmother was here denouncing Regent Estate, and he couldn't agree more. Joa Fan patted her shoulder. Grandmother, now you know that it was all a trick. We must now stand more united than ever, to have nothing come between us again. Yes, Steward Joa, Drifting Flowers Edifices is now at its weakest, and we will do everything you ask of us for vengeance and rebuilding Drifting Flowers Edifices. Grandmother nodded with conviction. Joa Fan did the same. You honor me with your deep sense of duty. I will never let you down. I noticed you are poisoned with the rainbow cloud palm. I will have someone give you the antidote. Thank you, Steward Joa. Grandmother bowed again, and the disciples helped her into the city. Joa Fan watched her go, Drifting Flowers Edifices. Every member passed by him with apologies at Peony Overseer's turn. She dodged his gaze and was no longer as fiery. Well, be honest. Steward Joa, you sure know how to turn excuses into a high-class act. We could have just told them when we first met. Why drag it all out till now? I felt my ears explode, hearing that Peony nag us on and on. With the coast clear, Shui Qingjian looked at him puzzled. Joa Fan sighed. These ladies have just experienced a change of heart. And supplied with, Elder Shui, do you know the difference between fetching and sending? Shui Qingjian shook her head. Ha, like they say, easy come, easy go. When someone gives you something, you don't give it much value. If you had used the same excuse from the start, no matter how good, they still wouldn't believe you. Only through their constant inquiry, forcing me to say it, did they take it as truth. And another thing, these excuses cannot come out from me. It has to be from a third party. That's why, Elder Shui, thank you for your hard work along the way. Your ears must be in agony, ha ha ha. Joie Fan laughed. Drifting Flowers' edifices are in ruins, and my helping hand will be seen as God sent. Now that all doubts are cleared as well, they will trust no one more than me. This trust will also affect the incoming houses as well, making the reform of the 3 houses a done deal. Elder Shui, Regent Estate must be gunning for Veiled, Dragon Pavilion, and Sword Marquis abode now. Send them a word. Urge them to leave their homes and come to Luo Clan. Homeless, they will only have us to rely on in the end. Yes, Steward Joie. Shui Qingjian cupped her hands, but paused. Steward Joie, what is Sir's age again? Why do you look more and more like a sly old fox? Human, yet vile at the same time. You still got the 3 destitute houses moved to tears from your generosity. Ha ha ha, it's not me who made them homeless, but society. Joie Fan said, the signs of conflict and chaos have appeared, and I can't stop it. All I can do is stave off the anarchy at my gates. Elder Shui, you will learn in due time. What I have in store for them is for their own good. While I want them integrated and re-educated, everyone else would have them purged. Shui Qingjian just bobbed her clueless head. You're telling me it's common sense to thank the guy for wrecking your 1,000-year-old legacy? It makes total sense. The vile and deceitful steward Joie sure acts quite a nobleman. Shui Qingjian didn't understand, and it wasn't like Joie Fan wanted her to. How is it going on Elder Chio's end? Per your orders, I escorted Drifting Flowers' edifice's disciples while the old guy is waiting for Regent Estate to vacate their city before they'll desecrate Drifting Flowers' edifice's ancestors and fetch you those bodies. Marvelous. Joie Fan nodded, flying towards Blackwind Mountain, leaving a few more words. Elder Li and Elder Yen have gone to take care of Pilking Hall. Wait for Elder Chio to return, and you 2 can go deal with Merrywoods. Yes. Shui Qingjian bowed. Joie Fan was back in the bunker, sending the Luo clan members and Yun clan people away, rows upon rows of pits lined up in his sight according to the Taiji diagram. Each pit held 2 bodies in the middle. With spirit stones all around them, one looked haggard, but desecrated, while the other was dried up and human-like, yet did not have the feel of one. The human pillars on either side of them were countless materials, and a pair of spiritual beast wings. Besides this one, there were tens of thousands of pits just like it, but only a few pits had bodies in them petting the human pillar's head. Joie Fan's eyes glinted. Around 10 years ago, I had Captain Pang train you, but you failed and turned cripple. I had Miss Lei teach you myriad breaths, while she called me a cruel monster, knowing what it did. But I believe letting you live your lives as cripples was the ultimate cruelty. That's why I told her that even if you live a life worse than death, I'd still have use of you. That time has come. You won't be the strongest, but will reach your peak all based on your talent. You will make the Empire see that you are no cripples, but great warriors. Waves came from the human pillars, something Joie Fan picked up on only after he made certain signs. What's with the can I move questions? Ha ha ha. You will do more than that, more than your wildest dreams. You will become the Luo clan's strongest guards, Luo clan's pride and honor. Another wave of ripples told Joie Fan of their joy. He was no goody two-shoes and planned on refining war puppets, devastating weapons of war. He'd use those ancestors and refine them with countless materials to make them as tough as diamonds. As for the souls to operate them, that was where these loyal human pillars of the Luo clan came in, because they were dead to begin with. Even with the human pillars controlling them, they wouldn't be able to cultivate, and were thus dubbed human weapons. It was the only way to describe a cultivator who hadn't achieved his potential, but they were more than enough for a weak empire like Tanyu Dutu. Material limitations. He planned to make 1,000 of them to start with, while letting nature take its course with the rest of the human pillars. But thanks to Kuan-Ping's hefty endorsement, he hoped to provide these children, who sacrificed themselves for Luo clan's intelligence network, a body they could move in. It was the best reward for their dedication and devotion. 1,000 war puppets were tough enough to fight the imperial family. But by the looks of things, that number was quickly gaining 2 more zeros. He could go toe-to-toe with Dugajantyan's 3 million army, if this kept up. That was why he said that all of the emperor's planning had this as its single flaw. How long would he keep hold of his throne once this army showed up and fought back Duga's army? Ha ha ha! Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with cruelty as he shouted, "Open the gates of the world and let the clouds simmer, bringing down the heavy dark rain of war, so that the souls of the ancients may trample down on this land once more." Rumble. The world itself was shaking as the sky blackened and lightning flickered. Ghastly black winds rose on Blackwind Mountain, kicking up a storm and swallowing everything. Wingay City was on the verge of being swept up in it. Grandmother and the rest, having just found peace, were now panicking and were at a loss when the world experienced change. Someone was going against natural order, bringing about heavenly tribulation. Just what was about to happen that would bring about destruction upon the living? Chapter 437, Road Pass. Chapter 437, Road Pass. SSS. Lightning snaked all over the corpses as the materials and the wings shone. They liquefied and entered the body. Fusing together, it went just like what Zhuo Fan had been through the first time, but way easier. Unlike the live refining he underwent, this time it was done on cold, dead corpses, unfeeling and uncaring about some trifling stuff like a destroyed soul. So Zhuo Fan went big this time. 1,000 of them at the same time with the job done. The bodies had a metallic sheen to them. Zhuo Fan made a sign. Change places and let the souls return. Bang! The human pillars exploded into a shower of blood and viscera. As the gruesome display splashed the ground with a sickening sound, it left behind faint flames of a spectral green glow. Zhuo Fan made another sign, and the flames entered the corpses. The corpses rattled and their eyelids shivered. Zhuo Fan went through another sign, and the corpses opened their mouths, while he sent a pill in, "Fuse, and let spirits assume their rightful place." Another sign, and the rumbling continued constantly as the sky had a hole in it, spewing out a lightning shower. The mountains shook, and Blackwind Mountain's arrays were close to crumbling Wingay's cities. People paled, taking this unnatural phenomenon as the end of days coming to take everything they knew. Zhuo Fan shook with the earth, knowing this was heaven's way in showing its wrath. Tribulation, any items this world did not condone, incited the heavenly tribulation to have them all purged, disintegrated, to guard all living things from destruction, decreed by the world's Tao. Zhuo Fan, while refining war puppets, was doing just that, going against heaven and bringing down the fury of the world on his head, but he had put too much work in this for a puny heavenly tribulation to come ruin it all, since he was fully intent on refining the war puppets. He had a way to keep the war puppets alive. So to speak, the snap of his fingers echoed out. The 4 arrays started up and spewed out pitch-black mist all around Wingay City. The black mist wiggled and spun, swallowing all lightning strikes, shroud the heaven's eye, the sun and the moon. 10th Great Array, Hidden Shadow Dragon! With a whistle, the black mist swept over the war puppets, covering them completely. When the Black Sea passed, Zhuo Fan saw flat ground, with all the war puppets gone from the bunker, and his sight, the rumbling in the heavens, was on hold, having lost its target. The black clouds scattered, having nothing better to do. The land no longer shook, and Wingay City returned to normalcy. But what had just transpired had every one of its citizens filled with a bad feeling, sighing. Zhuo Fan wiped his brow. Overjoyed, at least, he had the foresight to use the new authority of the Luo House and mine his domain. Gathering the spirit stones needed to set the 10th Great Array up, everything would have been wasted otherwise. With even his home base laid to ruins under heaven's tantrum, heaven was quite generous, though. It would strike down with unbridled fury and unmatched force when anything foreign was taking shape. But we'll leave you be. Once it was done shaping up through the hidden shadow dragon, Zhuo Fan had the war puppets until the fusing finished. Then he'd have nothing to worry about. The world shall soon follow, with 100,000 puppets sweeping the lands in every direction. Aha! Zhuo Fan looked around the bunker one last time before leaving. Only the world's odd phenomenon had left a mark on its people. Yet they had no way of unraveling the mystery this event was the start of a quirky habit happening every other month. With Shui Fan keeping mum about it, none was the wiser, and everyone became more puzzled than ever. It was like the world's ant flow was doing its thing with no losses to worry about. No one bothered with it. This was how the next few months, past Regent Estate, used this time to lead its allies like an unstoppable flood towards veiled dragon pavilion and sword marquise abode. Learning from Drifting Flowers Edifice's miserable ending, the two didn't resist and stuck to fleeing Regent Estate's attack on the houses, met hardly any resistance since the houses were long gone, taking less than a week to trample both of them. But unlike Drifting Flowers Edifices, these two houses hadn't suffered many losses, while the wretched Zhuo Fan was the real big baller getting rich over this war. He robbed Pilking Hall and Mary Woods Blind, tombs included, but didn't forget to include his precious allies as viable targets for some relaxed desecration. It went like this. Once Regent Estate knocked itself out after attacking a house, his team would swing by for some quality, digging the true winner in all of this was Zhuo Fan by far, getting close to 100,000 powerful corpses with bone tempering stage as the minimum. He had already refined tens of thousands of puppets, just that none of his allies were clued in on this little tidbit. Following him like good little doggies and blaming it all on Regent Estate, it was safe to assume that a heavy war would break out if they found out who was behind all this up till now. The foundation of the 7 houses laid in rubble as 2 sides formed. All that remained was a cruel and hard war for supremacy. Blackwind Mountain's main hall was packed with leaders of every house. Zhuo Fan and Luo Yunhai represented Luo clan, taking the main seat, while the rest were their 3 allies. Zhuo Fan glanced over them. The imperial family is beset with inner and outer conflict, while the Regent Estate is running rampant across Tianyu. Both camps are at a breaking point. War is knocking, and we can't avoid it. Then we don't. We've suffered the past 1,000 years at their hands, and now they've even ruined our homes. Long Jiu snorted. We didn't fall out all this time for the nation's sake. But now we have you as a brother, Luo clan, and together we can fight them. We have you to lead us, to destroy them. It is the only choice left to us. Yeah, we'll destroy them. The others echoed. The disciples of the houses present were all homeless, runaways in the truest sense and form. When they had nothing left to lose, why would they shirk from this? And with victory promising to restore their lands, they were all for it. War was the answer, and their thirst for it only grew. Zhuo Fan put his trademark evil grin on. Perfect. He held his hand up for silence. Be assured, friends, we understand your plight. Our Luo clan's ancestral teaching is all about being righteous and moral to our neighbor. You've all helped us when we were at our lowest. We never forgot your great generosity. Now that you all are in difficulty, Luo clan will step forth and bring you justice. This is my declaration of war. We will fight them to the end. Oh, fists were thrown into the air. Some sighed, praising Steward Zhuo's loyalty and Luo clan's benevolence. Only Luo Yunhai turned somewhat pink, sweating buckets like every other Luo clan elder present. Granted, Luo clan's ancestral teaching was about righteousness, having heard Luo Yunhai and Luo Yunchang talk about it. But ever since Zhuo Fan took helm, that word was crossed out and written off from Luo clan's vocabulary, replaced with a better and truer aim, like self-interest to start with. Zhuo Fan used it just now only as a tool, but selling it with his pretty speech and heartfelt act. Everyone was inspired, driven, and filled with thirst for battle, to the point of giving their life for a funny enough if it were plain righteousness. They might not be so keen on going along with Zhuo Fan, but with him, being so despicable and vile to throw in some incentives for everyone. They were all in, like Zhuo Fan once said, in this world where the strong ate the weak. Going by righteousness alone would get one into a sorry dump, like the Luo clan. When he found it understanding this, Luo Yunhai's eyes flashed and he rose. Everyone, as the clan head of the Luo clan, I will draft the declaration of war to quell Regent Estate and give you all justice. With a dignified act and powerful voice, he drove an even stronger sense of camaraderie into their hearts. Zhuo Fan nodded inside. The kid grew up at last. Without darkness to back it up, light would be like dust in the wind. On the other side, Regent Estate already had its declaration of war ready, sending it to their final goal, Luo clan. The people cleared the room once the negotiations finished. Only Yuming stayed behind, and Lung Wuchang smiled. Sir Yuming, I heard you were close to the second prince. He trusts me completely. Yuming nodded. Then please return to his side. We and Zhuge Changfeng have an understanding in place, but when it comes to that old fox, we still need assurances and need to prepare a plan B. As we are about to go to war with Luo clan, there's nothing I would hate more than to have the imperial family stick its nose in it. Yuming squinted and grinned. Ha ha ha. You are just like Zhuo Fan. Pausing, Lung Wuchang looked at him. Ha ha ha, I see. So he gave you a road pass as well. Chapter 438. Chance. Chapter 438. Chance. Elite Coder. The declarations of war took wings, pasted across the streets of Tianyu, and drove horror into the hearts of its people. Regent Estate, by its imperial right, declared itself king. It would first rid the land of that traitor Zhuo Fan and Luo clan, vowing to purge the nation of its descendants. Bringing peace, Zhuo Fan accused Regent Estate of its degenerate actions, deceiving, plotting, and scheming in order to take the 7 noble houses for itself. Its crimes were beyond count. With the power invested in the Luo clan as the 8th noble house, they took upon themselves the duty of a ruler's loyal servant to rid the world of these heinous lowlifes, and to dispel the darkness. The average citizen looked more lost than ever. Tianyu was under Yuan clan's rule. Whoever marched in the name of the imperial family had righteousness by his side. The emperor had Zhuo Fan turn into a wanted man, and Regent Estate was tasked to remove him. Everyone knew that, but from Zhuo Fan's declaration, it looked as if Regent Estate had made the emperor come to the wrong conclusion through coercion and slander, sticking to the fact that loyal officials were usually framed by corrupt ones. Zhuo Fan claimed to be a bastion of loyalty. His wanted status was all due to Regent Estate schemes and playing the emperor for a fool. He wanted to remove the corruption and allow the emperor to think clearly. Hence the rise against Regent Estate. Zhuo Fan looked to have enough reasons to do it as well. But what got the entire populace staring blankly was who was in the wrong and who was right. It ought to be the imperial family who'd clarify this point. Yet the sovereign was eerily quiet. It was the emperor who had issued a decree to have Zhuo Fan killed. But now he had turned a deaf ear. The great emperor feinted senility for argument's sake. If he did speak out, would he have the reason to attack them both later? It was better to let them slaughter each other and then finish them off in due time. As for who was right and who was wrong, it all came down to the emperor's decision. No. The emperor's plan was ingenious, fooling the whole nation. But one thing they did know was that Luo clan and Regent Estate were mad about putting the other one down. The noble houses, with their long-standing legacy, were leveled in a short time. Leaving only these 2 factions, these small-time clans couldn't mess with any of these big shots. It was a safer bet to wait for the winner to come out before hugging their leg, even though this action carried a slightly reproachful tone. It was way better than making the wrong choice and ending up a corpse in the mud. The emperor was shrewd. But the clans weren't that dumb either to get swept up by the vortex. Who cares who's vile and who's playing nice? The victor has always been and always will be, right? That old coot is playing deaf. You asked me to deal with Zhuo Fan, and now you won't even back me up? Rotten bastard. Huangpu Tianyuan raved. Lung Wuchang smiled. Estate lord, we knew this was coming. The imperial family wants to be the third party, so how can it give us just cause? It will only work to boost our forces. Not to mention, he hardly has an excuse to deal with us. He must be thinking he has us and Zhuo Fan right where he wants us. Humph, delusions is what he has. Before he even gets the chance, I'll make sure his backyard burns. Huangpu Tianyuan slapped the table. Lung Wuchang smiled with a wise look. Zhuo Fan was laid back, waiting for the war to come knocking. He had figured out the imperial family's reaction ages ago and had drafted that ridiculous and flashy deceleration for the same reason. He painted himself as the picture of loyalty, since no one was there to refute him anyway, or regent to state would have taken the name of a loyal official to boost his ranks, and he'd be left with nothing. This way is much better. He, I am as guilty as you are righteous, making this war fair and square. As for the imperial family throwing its hooks in, humph, his backyard won't be so quiet for long. With a twisted smile, Juefan looked in the imperial capital's direction, confident in his contingencies. Anywho, in the imperial palace, the emperor in his throne had a shifty look in his eyes now and then. Marshal Dugu, it's time. Order me, your majesty. Dugu Zhantian bowed. The emperor said, Marshal Dugu, with purging traitors as the reason, assemble 1,000,000 men. I'm sure you know what to do next. I understand. Sighing inside, Dugu Zhantian shook his head in defeat. The emperor wanted him to root out all traitors. As for who these were, he didn't say. It was the same as asking to kill them all. And the emperor was sure to have their list of crimes ready to publicize any time, but to go to war against his godson was something this marshal found toiling. But the emperor had given his order, and he had to obey. Your Majesty, my departure will bring great chaos in the imperial capital. I fear. It's fine. Dugu Zhantian was wrecked with worry, but the emperor cut him off. I have made plans for this eventuality. Marshal can go with ease. This plan will settle Tianyu's critical situation. No mistakes are allowed. Understood. Dugu Zhantian bowed and left the palace. The emperor was struck with grief seeing him go. Marshal, for the good of the nation, I can only be ruthless. Days later, news of Dugu Zhantian's army being on the move spread to every ear. Juefan and Huangpu Tianyuan snickered. Only the prime minister was frowning. Obscure wolf slipped before him once again, excited. Prime Minister Zhuge, even Dugu Zhantian has left the emperor's side. This is our best chance so far. We wait. Zhuge Chongfeng's brow was locked in a tight scowl. Hu Lianchai grew unsettled. Prime Minister, sir, all of the emperor's loyal subjects are gone. He is defenseless. If we wait for him to settle all conflicts in and out of court, it'll be too late. The garrison has been putting pressure on us to leave since a few days ago as well. We can't wait much longer. Sighing, Zhuge Chongfeng's mind was a mess. Finally, he spoke. We wait. For what? Prime Minister, sir, what's holding you back? Hu Lianchai was angry now. The Chuanrong's finest weren't here on a sightseeing trip. Going around the place, doing nothing all the time would end up being the shame of their army back home, but this was all on the prime minister, flicking his sleeve. Hu Lianchai was gone, leaving Zhuge Chongfeng alone with his jumbled thoughts. Whoosh! His two elders appeared at his sides, bowing. Lord Prime Minister, what plagues you? Of the 5 divine dragons, we've only ever seen 3. Now, who do you think the other 2 are? Zhuge Chongfeng said. The Yinyang elders understood his plight and said, Lord Prime Minister, you've held back all this time because of these 2 divine dragons. Know yourself and your enemy, and you will be ever victorious, even against divine dragons. If I do not know who they are, our impetuous action will be the death of us. Black Elder said, Lord Prime Minister, I have a conjecture, but find it inappropriate. A man of your power has traveled far and knows much. No matter what happens in Tianyu, however people hide themselves, nothing comes as a surprise to you. Yet we have no information on these 2 divine dragons. They may not even exist, made up by the imperial family as a bluff. SS. Zhuge Chongfeng gasped. You mean to say the old man has been using the empty city tactic? This is one dangerous bet. He would rather send everyone to deal with Regent, Estate, and Juefan, and only then settle the court. That would mean not acting now will be a waste. But what if it's all a trap, and everything we've worked for would go down the drain? That old Coot's scheme is brilliant. I am truly in a dilemma. Zhuge Chongfeng sighed, but his gaze steeled, sent an order to get ready. Second Prince was pacing in his new manner, excited and worried. Whoosh. A second later, he found himself looking at a gray robe and said, Sir Yuming, you're back at last. The situation. I know. Yu Ming had a crafty smile. Your Highness, this is your moment. Truly. Second Prince beamed, too excited to speak. Chapter 439 Rebellion. Chapter 439 Rebellion. Come night. Second Prince and Yu Ming were sitting in the main hall waiting for information. Below them were military officials, with the commander of the city guards in the lead since the emperor had left the safety of the capital in the Second Prince's hands. These men were his to command to seize the throne and rule the lands. He needed a proper foundation. What's taking so long? Second Prince's feet bounced, waiting with anxiety. Yu Ming, next to him, shook his head. Second Prince wears his heart on his sleeve. How can he be ruler material? If by some miracle he gets the throne, he'll soon get kicked off anyway. Unlike the current emperor, who, despite being known as incapable, had his own thinking. He had toyed with Tianyu's old foxes for decades, a true master of the mind. Just how can such a father have a hot head for a son? Humph! That midwife must have been at fault. She must have dropped him on his head at birth. Smiley face, the literal translation. She had to have thrown away the baby thinking it was the placenta rather than the true baby, i.e., calling him brain dead. Yu Ming mocked him inside. Second Prince had no clue that his most trusted advisor had no trust in him at all, only waiting impatiently for the spy whoosh. A man appeared in front, on his knees. Second Prince jumped to his feet. What's the situation? Your Highness, Dugu army has been marching for a month and is thousands of leagues away. It will be impossible for them to return in time, even if it is only Dugu Zhantian or the 4 tigers of Tianyu. Truly. Second Prince was ecstatic. Ha ha ha, Dugu army is gone for real. Father is wide open. Commander, assemble the 30,000 guards and attack the palace and force Father to abdicate. By morning, at court, I'll be the new emperor. No one can do anything, ha ha ha. Yes, your majesty. Long live the emperor, the commander bowed. Second Prince laughed harder, his face beaming, writing himself off as the emperor already. Let's see who will dare say I'm not fit to rule when I have the imperial palace in my palm. Second Prince left with the captains right behind him. Begin, capture all officials. I don't want any chaos. 30,000 imperial guards are enough to seize everything. We will settle it tonight. Your Majesty is invincible. The men chapped their lips, only Yu Ming stayed behind with a mocking smile. Humph, the tallest tree gets all the wind. The imperial capital doesn't lack men with power and ambition, so why the hell don't they act, leaving you to go first? Idiot, your only use is to be someone else's pawn. I've done what Zhuo Fan and Leng Wucheng asked. The imperial capital will be in chaos. Dugu Zhantian's army will have to return, and they can fight to their heart's content. Ha ha ha. Yu Ming slunk into the dark night. The main street of the imperial capital was soon crawling with soldiers. One busybody got too curious, but was scared away by the display. Some stubborn officials were under house arrest, with nobody going in or out sighing. These men guessed what was going on. Someone was rebelling. Now of all times, when everything was in chaos, all they could do was to wait for the resolution. Knowing the night would be a chaotic, one Zhuge Changfeng was at his home, consulting the details of his operation when he heard the commotion outside. One servant reported seeing guards around the house. Everyone was frantic, especially a man with sideburns shouting, "Humph, didn't I tell you?" He even has the Prime Minister's house surrounded. Just which captain dares to do this? Minister of War settled down. Zhuge Changfeng smiled. Ha ha ha, they're only making a scene, that's all. But Lord Prime Minister, to have guards surround the Minister of War is a direct affront to me. The man was outraged at the gross lack of respect. Zhuge Changfeng laughed. There's no need to feel shame when they aren't even your men. Our men are still waiting outside. Just let these brutes search all they want, then we'll decide on our course of action. Zhuge Changfeng's eyes flashed. The Minister of War showed a crafty grin in reply, nodded, and sat down. Inside the imperial palace, the emperor was at his desk when he heard a cry, and a servant frantically came over. "Why, your Majesty! This is terrible. Slow down. The emperor remained calm, taking a deep breath. The man said, Our revolt, your majesty. They're attacking the imperial palace, and we're being overrun. What? The emperor rushed to his feet, but the servant begged before he could go. Your majesty, it's too dangerous. Please use the secret tunnel and flee. I am the ruler of this nation. How can I flee from my lands? Snorting, the emperor walked out. Just who dares to act with such impertinence? At the emperor's steel gaze, the servant sighed and followed behind him. They just stepped out, and flames flashed across the sky with shouts and roars echoing. Everywhere they saw a tide of soldiers smashing into the imperial palace, and the imperial guards being pushed back. He also recognized who the rebels were, the city guards panting. Out of the 3,000 imperial guards, only 300 remained, bloody and wounded. They all circled the emperor, their faces grave, squinting. The emperor looked on happily. My child, why are you using the city guards for your own means and charging on the imperial palace? Ha ha ha, oh imperial father, how do you know that I am leading the city guards, and it's not them rebelling on their own accord? A brash laugh announced the arrival of second prince, surrounded by 10 radiant stage experts snickering. The emperor mocked. Command of the guards is not impulsive, and certainly not stupid enough to stick his neck out. You. Second prince was infuriated. The emperor was mocking him for his rash actions, for that useless thing he had on his shoulder, even worse than a city commander. Imperial father, I know you've only cared for the elder brother and always looked down on me, but now you shall see what I'm made of. Oh, I think I've seen quite enough, a brainless buffoon. If I'd left the empire in your hands, the Yuan clan won't even see the end of the year, with the nation falling into anarchy. The emperor, patronized second prince, was fuming. You can look down on me all you want, but history is written by the winner. I have you surrounded. The entire imperial palace is under my control. Make me an emperor now, and I will let you retire and leave in bliss. Humph, you really are my son. But what if I don't plan on retiring? Maybe I'll keep this seat a while longer. The emperor belittled, shuddering. The second prince spat. Imperial father, don't push me. What, you'll kill me? Kill your own flesh and blood? The emperor taunted. Second prince's eyes were red. Imperial father, you will abdicate whether you want to or not, or our ties will be cut in blood. Second prince shouted, Guard, bring his majesty a pen and paper. He is about to abdicate. Kill anyone who interferes. Understood. The guard army roared like a tsunami, filled with zest and power as it pressed on. The emperor was not the least bit scared, but one couldn't say the same about the imperial guards around him. Shirking back slowly, second prince saw them still acting firm and looked to his left. One radiant stage expert caught his meaning and flew for the emperor, but a figure cut that expert's path while someone shouted, Second brother, stop! Chapter 440, Oriole Behind. Chapter 440, Oriole Behind. Bam! The clash rattled the men, making both sides drop their weapons in favor of covering their ears. The two experts separated, and the radiant stage expert fell back to the second prince's side. The other was next to the emperor, followed by 7 more. The remaining radiant stage guards in the imperial palace. Yongning scrambled over, ranting, Second brother? How can a prince stoop to such disgraceful acts as to take up arms and revolt? Stop this right now and ask imperial father for forgiveness. Shut up, Yongning. This has nothing to do with you. Second prince never spared her a glance, only glaring at the emperor. Imperial father! Ever since the fiasco with Chofan, your radiant stage guards are heavily wounded. You have no chance. I do not wish for patricide, to be labeled a kingslayer by the people. I advise you to abdicate. The emperor mocked. Son, the throne has always been acquired through succession or war. I'll be honest with you. I never cared much for you, nor did I plan on making you the next in line. If you want my throne, you will just have to take it from my hands. The emperor raised his palm. Although empty, it carried all the imperial power he mustered as he taunted. If you can, that is. Second Prince gnashed his teeth, his nails digging into his palms, and spoke in a tragic tone. Imperial father, finally you've come clean. You never tried to groom me into an emperor, casting me aside from the beginning. Then all I can say is that today the throne will be mine. Don't blame me, father, as I'm about to break our ties. Second Prince almost roared. His eyes bloodshot the emperor, though. Just looked back coldly. Second Prince's heart was struck with dolor. He sensed that his beloved imperial father never even considered him as his son. Fueling his burning rage, kill, leave none alive, get the jade seal. I'll draft the order myself. Understood. The men shouted, storming the palace. The 10 Radiant Stage experts moved as well, with only 8 experts on the Emperor's side and no divine dragons around. They held the advantage. The Emperor would soon lay in chains, and the coup would be victorious. The Radiant Stage experts were giddy at the prospects. They would become the new Emperor's loyal officials. Blessed with riches and resources, the Emperor's Radiant Stage guards were getting graver by the second. Finding themselves outnumbered and unfit to protect the Emperor, Yongning cried, "Father, look out!" The Emperor still bore the same calculative look, standing firm and unflinching. His eyes flashed at the incoming enemy. Where are the shadow guards? Who? Black streaks flew from around the Emperor with eerie cackles. They moved onto the Radiant Stage experts like black clouds. In the hundreds, all experts kept calm and retaliated. But their attacks went right through the shadows, having no effect at all, while the shadow guards relied on their strong souls and couldn't enjoy tearing into the enemy. They could at least mess with their minds and unnerve them. There was hardly a Radiant Stage expert among the shadow guards. But thanks to their creepy methods and their numbers, the enemy had no counter to their harassment. The Emperor's Radiant Stage guards were filled with bloodlust, with the shadow guards keeping the experts busy. The guards would rob their lives. They moved fast, jumped up in the air, and came down under the cover of the shadows with a heavy palm attack. Ugh. Second Prince's experts drew a trail of blood as they crossed the sky. As for the city guards, they were pushed back in, but few moves from the Radiant Stage Imperial Guards. Second Prince's experts could do nothing but lay there wounded, watching their brothers breathe their last. The city guards' metal cracked and shuddered back. Damn those pestering shadows! Second Prince spat. I knew them to only be scouts, but they're actually so strong, even without the Shadow King around. Imperial Father, is this your last ace? Second Prince, muttered the Emperor's eyes flashed in disappointment. Son, know yourself and your enemy, and you shall be ever victorious. You are truly a lost cause to fight your father without even knowing my hidden aces. Sigh. So many years have passed, yet you never could fix this brash side of yours. Second Prince clenched his fists in denial. His mutiny might have less to do with reaching that fantastical throne and more to earn his father's approval, only to have neither. Second Prince, the Shadow Guards will overrun us. We need to fall back. One Radiant Stage expert, with blood coming from his mouth, advised, with the imperial capital in turmoil, despite our failure, we will make a comeback as long as your highness lives. Comeback? From this. This mutiny here and now was his best chance. He took the city guards for himself and struck while the Emperor lay defenseless. This was as good as it was ever going to get. Failing now, he'd be hard-pressed to get a chance, even remotely as good as this one, and yet. He looked at the fallen Radiant Stage experts of his, at the city guards being toyed with by mere hundreds of shadow guards, and the Second Prince closed his eyes in defeat. I've truly lost. Second Prince. Another expert urged, flashing his eyes open. He steeled his voice. Fall back! Second Prince and his experts in the lead quickly made their getaway. Yet he turned his head at the Emperor now. And then, as the city guards followed behind him, the Emperor's eyes were struck with lamentation. After them! One Radiant Stage guard shouted, seeing them on the run, the Emperor's side, waving, "Leave him be!" The Radiant Stage guards froze, but nodded. Your Majesty is the Lord Supreme, but still a father. Second Prince has revolted tonight. yet his majesty would let him go. While the emperor didn't pursue, some shrewder individuals weren't about to let this prime chance go. Second prince was pulling out of the imperial palace while fending off pursuers when a boom revealed torches lighting up just beyond the gates. Shining across thousands upon thousands of faces, second prince watched the sea of lights and spat. "Crown prince! Third brother, have you come to ambush me?" "Second brother, you had the gall to raise your arms against our emperor and are charged with heinous crimes. Talk, how is the imperial father?" Crown prince stepped forth, demanding you in Song, was worried. Second brother, how are the imperial father and Yongning? You couldn't have been so cold as to harm them. Humph, old third, when people speak of lowbrow, bug-eyed, fat-headed fool, they mean you. I thought it would be obvious by now how they're doing by looking at my beaten army. Second prince mocked. Ha ha ha. Elder brother, you sure are considerate. I'm sure you've been waiting for this chance for a long time. With the sin of regicide on my head, you would have all the right to take me down and take the throne for yourself. Humph, like a true Oriole. Now I see why the imperial father made you crown prince. You really are resourceful. Crown prince held him in a cold stare. Second brother, you are jumping to conclusions. I only have imperial father's safety in mind. Do you now? Then you should be relieved to know that the imperial father is the picture of health, strong as a horse. It'll be a long time before you'll take his mantle. Decades even, ha ha ha. Second prince cackled, to which the crown prince displayed a bloodthirsty look. Second brother truly is a waste. Chapter 441, Punishment. Chapter 441, Punishment. Third prince was overjoyed to know that the emperor was unharmed. Elder brother, imperial father, and Yongning are all right. We made it in time. And the heavens are by imperial father's side. Crown prince nodded, looking calm, but when he saw the second prince, he barked. Second brother, you stand accused of inciting rebellion. Give yourself in, and let us take you before the imperial father for your sentence. Second prince mocked. You've got another thing coming if you think it'd be that easy. I may have failed, but I still have my guards, my radiant stage experts. It'd be easy to get through you. Would it? Crown Prince looked down on him with a smile and shouted at the crowd. Officers of the city guard, have you forgotten whose men you really are? You have taken up arms against your lord, but your name is still on the record. You may run, but what about your families? Will you condemn them to annihilation? Every city guard shuddered on hearing this, and their morale plunged frowning. Second Prince picked up on the Crown Prince's trick, and his eyes spat fire. Crown Prince snickered, addressing the men once more. You are all loyal soldiers of the nation, tough and hard-working. This is not how you should go down in history. You are also victims in this mutiny. Stand down, turn back, and I promise, in my name as Crown Prince, that His Majesty will overlook this act of yours. You will keep your jobs. You will stay as city guards. Crown Prince! Second Prince snapped, jumping at him with a fifth-grade spiritual weapon. Crown Prince was firm, facing him with a fifth-grade spiritual weapon of his own. Bam! Under the screeches of metal grinding on everyone's ears, they saw a terrible explosion as the second prince was pushed back and started spurting blood. He lay on the ground, pale and haggard. Crown Prince stood up with his weapon out, just like before, a cold smile on his lips. The only testament to his power was the cracked pavement underneath. Second Prince. The radiant stage experts helped him up, while the city guards stayed away, as did the commander. Crown Prince had given them a way out. Picking up arms now would doom not only them, but their families, their entire clans. The warm smile of Crown Prince showed them how much he appreciated their intelligence, and he now turned to the radiant stage experts. Every single cultivator only fights for resources, spirit stones, and pills. Now that he has failed in his rebellion, what could he possibly give you? Give up and stand beside me. I will make you venerables. Or would you rather be on the run with my retarded brother? Ha ha ha! Inciting a rebellion is a heavy crime. Not something even a radiant stage expert would dare commit on a whim, or he'd soon find himself hunted down by the Empire. Of course, if you think you're Gu Santong who could fight a nation, then by all means. With a shiver, the experts felt a desperate fear run through their blood. They were just average. Not freaks of Zhuofan or Gu Santong's caliber to flip the table in the Emperor's face on a whim. It was all about power. Something they sorely lacked. Without much suspense, they all sighed and left with hands behind their backs. Towards the Crown Prince, watching his men leave him one by one, left the second prince with a sinking feeling. His gaze empty. Ha ha ha, see that? The moment you lose is the moment you have nothing. The experts, the city guards, they didn't do it for you, but for that thing hovering over your head, the title of prince. Now that even that is taken away, you are nothing, just a lonely rebel. Your only choice now is to give up. Ha ha ha. Crown Prince laughed at the second prince frozen on the ground. Not only was ruling out of reach, even his status was threatened. Third prince shook his head, sending 2 men to tie him up. His mind was still in shock, walking around like an empty shell only capable of regret and dread. The Emperor was back at his desk, lamenting. Yongning poured him tea, urging, "Imperial father, please cheer up." Second brothers, merely blinded by greed, the power having gone to his head. He'd never willingly hurt you. Ha ha ha. I would have been happier if he did. A pity this is as far as my child can go. The Emperor shook his head. Yongning started. What does that mean? Nothing. This is a man's game, something you don't understand and hope you never will. The Emperor patted her head with a fond gaze. I wish for you to stay like this forever, pure and unmarred by the world's corruption. Blinking her big eyes, Yongning nodded. Clueless, the Emperor smiled. I just love that silly look on your face. Ha ha ha. Report. A sharp voice announced the arrival of a servant. Your Majesty, Crown Prince and Third Prince's timely intervention has captured Second Prince's rebel army. The 2 princes are wishing to see your Majesty with the rebel prince. Humph, impeccable timing too. The Emperor snorted. I'll allow it. Yes. The servant left. Yongning watched in worry. Imperial father, what are you going to do with second brother? The Emperor's eyes flashed, the silence weighing heavy on Yongning's innocent heart. They were kin, born of the same parent. How could she bear seeing her father kill her brother? But even she realized the gravity of rebellion. A prince would suffer the same fate as the next criminal, the gallows. The fact that she could do nothing to plead his case only burdened her heart. More Crown Prince, and Blobby brought in a tied-up second prince. Imperial father, I ask that you forgive me for my late arrival to your rescue. Crown Prince, how did you handle your brother and the guards? The Emperor asked. Crown Prince was candid. Forgive me, Imperial father. I have taken the liberty to let them go, to let them return to their posts. With troubled times upon us, you cannot blame them. There was no need to exacerbate. Crown Prince, you've done well. The Emperor nodded. Crown Prince bowed with gratitude. I thank Imperial Father for his kind words. The Emperor turned to the captive. Son, I've told you before, you can only have what I give you, and never take what I don't give you. Do you finally see the wisdom in my words? Humph! What use does wisdom have to a defeated general? Second Prince sighed. I never considered the fact that the reason behind my rebellion was all due to my title as prince, the title Imperial Father gave me. Now that you've taken it away, I will be worse than nothing. Ha ha ha. Imperial Father, is this what you wanted me to see? The Emperor shook his head. The sky is boundless and the lands vast, but the power of the Emperor goes beyond them all. I only wish to tell you that I am the true ruler of Tianyu. You can pull any stunt you like, as long as you don't rebel. Second Prince sighed. Hanging his head, Crown Prince's eyes glinted. Imperial Father, may I ask what is the Second Prince's sentence? The fatty probed. All eyes turned to the Emperor. Only Second Prince's head was still down. In the pits of despair, the Emperor took a deep breath. Guards, throw Second Prince Yuanyong in prison. where he shall spend the remainder of his days." Second Prince shuddered, incapable of believing his ears. He had rebelled and should have been given the noose, so why? A father's love is boundless. "You may find it in you to take my life for the throne, but I will never think for a second to kill my son." "Take him away," the emperor mocked and sighed. Second Prince never spoke a word, even as he was dragged away by the imperial guards. But his eyes, red in the fatty and yawning, perked up. Crown Prince looked happy, but the emperor picked up on the discontent in his eyes. "Crown Prince, a lord needs to show mercy. He can no longer stand in your way." As both a warning and advice, the emperor spoke with a flick of his sleeve, sending them all away. Crown Prince shuddered, his face gloomy as he shuffled away with a lowered head. Chapter 442. To War. Chapter 442. To War. At long last, the sun dawned on the imperial capital after a tumultuous night. Finding the city guards at their posts and the order restored, Zhuge Changfeng and many officials were waiting in the prime minister's mansion for updates. A shadow burst in and whispered in Zhuge Changfeng's ear, causing his smile to widen. "Prime Minister, sir, what's the situation?" The Minister of War asked Zhuge. Changfeng shook his head. Like a true failure he is, the second prince could never live up to his majesty's ability. However, and he laughed, thanks to the second prince's tantrum, he left his majesty open to scrutiny. He is indeed playing the empty city tactic. All he has are some shadow guards and wounded imperial guards. The Minister of War proposed, "Then we can." Of course. Zhuge Changfeng was firm, having grasped the truth. The old man has gone all in on this move of his. He has sent his forces to deal with those two, yet sits steady on his throne to blind us. He'd never guess that his treasured empty city tactic is now in shambles. It's like the heavens are begging us to take this chance. Ha! Minister, our forces can begin. Take the imperial palace within the week. Zhuge Changfeng's eyes flashed, his voice stern. The Minister of War saluted, as did the rest of the excited officials. The time for a new ruler is upon us. News of the second prince's rebellion spread like wildfire, reaching Zhuge ears thousands of miles away. 3 days later, Zhuge panicked and was about to turn back. He didn't even get to strike camp, though, as a yellow flash landed before the marshal's tent bearing a scroll with imperial edict on it. Zhuge convened with his tigers and received the order. Here, eat the emperor's edict. Marshal Dugu is to stamp out the traitors and press on with valor. He is not to return without results. The radiant stage messenger was one of the few capable guards the emperor had left. For him to come at this time spoke of the importance of this order. Zhuge took the edict. "I am honored. May his majesty live a long and prosperous life." And then he put on a heavy look. "Is his majesty safe?" "Rest easy, Marshal Dugu. Everything has been handled." Second Prince's rebellion was put down swiftly. The messenger smiled. Zhuge relaxed, yet was pensive. But this would have revealed all the forces by his majesty's side. His aged face was filled with wrinkles from all the worry. Once more the messenger spoke with admiration. "Marshal Dugu is indeed loyal to a fault to the nation. To be frank, his majesty's guard isn't looking good. But as you can see from his majesty's decree, you cannot return. His majesty is burning all his boats. For peace in Tianyu, he is willing to forego even his safety." Zhuge shook his head. The messenger nodded slowly after he left. Zhuge looked at the thin paper in his hands. For a long time the emperor feared he'd rush back after catching the news of the capital and sent this radiant stage expert. Any delay would not only promise a swift end to Zhuge Fan and Regent Estates' war, but would also give them time to recoup. There'd be no point in going then. Turning into both sides, losing Zhuge was once again touched by his emperor's concern and struck out camp to set off. Only this time his marching was faster, hoping to settle the matters here and get back to the imperial capital before anything worse happened. Meanwhile, in a deep ravine, Luo clan and Regent Estate were each parked on the hills opposite of each other, each eyeing the other with a thirst for battle. Despite the declarations of war, despite the drive to quell each other, They still had some qualms about fighting, fears revolving around hidden traps. But time was of the essence, and the sooner they got this over and done with, the better, which led to an accord to the face-off here at Troubled Falcon's Gully, in a head-on and above-board manner. On the Luo clan's corner, besides Zhuo Fan and his radiant stage elders, there were experts from his 3 allies present as well. Each of them glared at Regent Estate with rage and malice for destroying their homes. Hatred consuming them. Regent Estate's side was no different. Its allies mirrored the enemy's thirst for blood and deep rancor. It was by Zhuo Fan's grace that their homes were in an even sorrier sight. The desecration of their ancestors tended to bring out the worst in people. Who knew? Their hatred for Zhuo Fan went beyond bone deep at this point. It was in their DNA. They wished for nothing more than to put Zhuo Fan into a press and squeeze him for all the blood he had, yet all they've been doing these past weeks was measuring egos by means of glares. With neither wanting to take the first step down this bloody war, it had the added effect of fermenting each side's hatred and testing their ever-thinning patience. That was the only thing they could do, as each side's allies were either under direct orders from Zhuo Fan or Regent Estate with no right to complain. They just had to wait and wait some more. Steward Zhuo, we've been staring at each other for weeks. When do you plan to attack? Grandmother found the limit of her patience once more and came to urge Zhuo Fan. As she had done many times till now, the other houses nodded. Zhuo Fan was laid back per usual, in his comfy deck chair, his lazy eyes closed and his voice drawn out. Easy, we're still waiting for the right timing. Still? Until when do we wait? Until we become statues of liberty. Peony Overseer snapped. Zhuo Fan swayed in his chair. The same thing was going on at Regent Estate's corner. Yuan Shan and company were boiling, but Huangpu Tianyuan and Lung Wu Chang reined them, and they were all a powder keg of emotions, with nowhere to vent whoosh. 2 jade slips arrived at the camps. Zhuo Fan skimmed over it as Lung Wu Chang did the same. The two were miles from each other, yet reacted at the same time and in the same manner. Ha ha ha! At last there's movement! What do you mean? Grandmother asked, snickering. Zhuo Fan shot to his feet and barked. Notify the elders. We attack at once. What? They were all baffled. He just asked us to wait, and the next second, he is asking us to attack? Just what on earth happened? Nonetheless, they all began war preparations, eager to get the show on the road and the blood flowing in quick order. Rows of experts rolled out into the valley like a black cloud. Glaring at the hill 1,000 meters in the distance, Huangpu Tianyuan and Lung Wu Chang brought out their army, as well as Zhuo Fan. Huangpu Tianyuan and Lung Wu Chang's eyes met, and they burst out laughing. We finally get to see today, when I can tear you to shreds, all to my heart's content. Zhuo Fan, it's high time you paid for taking away my son. Huangpu Tianyuan roared, to which Zhuo Fan only had derision. Huangpu Tianyuan, let's see you try! Lung Wu Chang fanned himself with a smile. Estate Lord, Steward Zhuo, we are all bitter enemies here, with each side wishing to destroy the other, just that there were so many interferences along the way. This is a rare occasion, with Second Prince's rebellion igniting the chaos, yet Duge army still marching towards us. It won't be long before Prime Minister Zhuge acts as well and gets him to turn back. That only leaves the two of us to tear into each other with a bright smile on our faces. Isn't it great? So why waste time with pointless chatter? We need to settle our grudges with speed and force, giving time for the winner to take the nation. As for the loser, it will become a stepping stone with no regrets. No regrets indeed. Zhuo Fan beamed. I never pegged Sir Lung to be such a bold man. All words now are useless. Everyone has come prepared, so what are we waiting for? Let's do some killing. No matter what hatred we had before, this battle is all that's important. Whoever stands tall in the end. What do you say, Estate Lord Huangpu? Huangpu Tianyuan beamed as well. Ha ha ha, rightly said indeed. Hatred aside, in the race for power the weak gets eaten. Why would the king of the world ever care about some petty squabbles? Zhuo Fan, you are a man of ambition. For me to fight you today, with the world at stake, it is an honor. The revenge for my son no longer matters. Why would a man with his eyes on the world ever mind such trifles? Then, Estate Lord Huangpu, shall we? Zhuo Fan snickered. Huangpu Tianyuan had the same twisted smile as both of them roared, "To war!" Chapter 443, General Versus. General. Chapter 443, General Versus. General. The leaders' roars rattled the skies, and their men's ears poured out from each side like black rain. Bone-tempering disciples, the two sides' gazes were locked as the wave of men rushed past them, and deeper into the valley these men's eyes turned red, consumed by madness as they exploded with yuan qi. It took only an instant to brandish their weapons and hack their opponents. The entire troubled Falcon's Gully was saturated with people, in the hundreds of thousands, drowning any other sound with their endless manic cries for blood and death. There were rules to war. Soldiers went against soldiers, and generals paired with generals, as profound heaven experts and radiant stage experts were pretty much killing machines amidst bone-tempering cultivators. Both sides agreed on having their disciples' battle ignored, opting instead to stare off their equals in cultivation just across the gully. They were the real targets. Killing bone-tempering disciples only brought disgrace. Safe to say, the killing inside the gully among disciples reached the heavens. While their superiors were still in a stare-down competition behind them, Huangpu Fenglei, Mad Dipper Li Jingtian stood out, bowing before the High Venerable. "We didn't get to finish our last fight in the imperial capital. With this prime chance befalling, will you dare meet me in battle? Ha ha ha! Li Jingtian, you're on quite the high horse, shamelessly uttering those words to me. Correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't you under me?" Laughing, Huangpu Fenglei came forward with an intent to fight and a condescending look. Li Jingtian grinned. "Humph! That's all in the past. All I'm asking is if you would dare to come at me." "Why wouldn't I?" Huangpu Fenglei jumped in the air towards him. Li Jingtian laughed. As he did the same, the two met with a resounding bang. Blowing away the clouds for a mile around, their clash was so loud that the house lords on each side had to hold their ears due to pain. Only radiant stage experts and the likes of Zhuo Fan and Huangpu Tianyuan kept standing tall and observing their duel. Huangpu Fenglei shone golden, and 9 dragon images appeared on his sides. The peak of imperial tyrant body art Li Jingtian flickered in darkness, enveloped in a black dragon image. He was using Wraith Art's power to cover himself. Both were peak radiant stage experts armed with profound ranked martial arts trained to extremes. They were the brightest gems around. Evenly matched the surging powers at work here. Had the valley divided, one side was shrouded in a black dragon, with lightning crackling along its way, the other in glorious golden halo and imposing dominance. Yet neither could win over the other. Stuck in a constant stalemate, Huangpu Tianyuan's brow trembled, sighing. "I now know why Elderly threw his lot with the Luo clan. I don't even recognize this art. But for him to stand on solid ground against High Venerable, it goes on to show how much power it has. I can't fathom how the Luo clan could have such wonderful art. Had Elderly stayed in Regent Estate, he'd never have reached High Venerable's level even after training for a century in the incomplete imperial tyrant body art. But now, ha ha ha, Estate Lord, I anticipated Luo clan might be complex. Elderly is no fool, and his complete loyalty to Zhuo Fan shows that he got something great out of it. It was his best choice, taking the Luo clan's outstretched hand." Lung Wuchang smiled. Huangpu Tianyuan sighed inside. Zhuo Fan is a genius among geniuses. In under 10 years, he dragged a nobody third-rate clan up the stairs of power, turning it into a colossus. Ignoring him 7 years ago is my greatest failure. If only I knew, I'd have sent everything to cull him. Huangpu Tianyuan squinted. Zhuo Fan had a knowing smile, tracing 2 fingers on his neck as a taunt. Huangpu Tianyuan turned to look at the fight above. "Humph! Zhuo Fan, be smug all you want. I may not have taken you out when I should, but your time will come soon, very soon. You aren't invincible. You have yet to taste my 9 dragons' diamond body. Humph!" Bang! The body cultivators in the sky had similar styles, unleashing one overpowered attack after another. It took but a second to exchange 10 moves, with no clear winner in sight. Li Jingtian was out of breath and bruised up. Huangpu Fenglei mirrored him in every regard. Except for the shocked look, this was his first time truly going against Li Jingtian. It was natural to be overwhelmed seeing Li Jingtian's power reach his level after a mere decade. It used to take less than 10 moves to floor him. This expert today was outraged at his inability to reach the same outcome today. Li Jingtian was ecstatic. He enjoyed the simple things in life, like challenging his ex-boss who could, at one time, deck him good. Li Jingtian grinned. Huangpu Fenglei, have you been losing your touch the past couple of years? You're not swinging your punches like you used to. Is old age catching up to you? Haha. Shut your pie hole. I'm only going easy on you, and this is the thanks I get, mockery. In that case, I won't leave you with a shred of honor. Huangpu Fenglei went red from anger, yet his heart was queasy since he did give his all. Anything more would mean staking his life, as well did he really have to put his weary old bones on the line to get out of this. While he was having a hard time making a decision, Li Jingtian had already made his. He had set out to do one thing today: beat his ex-boss, missing this chance. Zhuo Fan was bound to finish him off at some point as a martial fanatic. He just had to beat the guy who had wrecked him years ago, or he'd never forgive himself. It would have the added side effect of affecting his cultivation. Li Jingtian gnashed his teeth and spat. Huangpu Fenglei, take this! Li Jingtian's black aura exploded, shooting for Huangpu Fenglei as a black dragon wrapped around him. Humph! Is it the same soaring demonic dragon again? It won't change a thing. Huangpu Fenglei snorted with a shiny golden glow around him. Li Jingtian had a creepy smile on him, though, and just before impact, he halted to make a sign. Wraith Style's third move, Necro Dragon Screech. Roar. The black dragon image ripped the space in its charge towards Huangpu Fenglei. Safe to say, even with Imperial Tyrant body art, Huangpu Fenglei would have a hard time fending off such an onslaught from such a short distance, and that was the truth of it. Huangpu Fenglei was forced into letting his soul take the brunt. A wound on the soul meant a drop in strength, which translated into defeat facing his ex-subordinate and losing. High Venerable's name would be soaked in mud. Huangpu Fenglei bit his tongue and spat blood as he made a sign. Imperial Tyrant body art's 10th stage Imperial Presence. A golden glow washed over him as a golden dragon roamed around him in an airtight seal. The 10th? Zhuo Fan cried. That stepping into the earth ranked martial art category. Does Imperial Tyrant body art have a 10th stage? Huangpu Tianyuan was stumped, amazed that Huangpu Fenglei had reached such a level. Imperial Tyrant body art had 9 stages, with the 10th stage mere hearsay. Only the ancestors of Regent Estate a millennium ago could reach it. High Venerable is a genius of his generation, no less than the eldest young master. If not for the dragon soul defending him, he never would have been High Venerable's match. High Venerable is a true genius of the millennium. Lung Wucheng praised. Huangpu Tianyuan nodded. Huangpu Fenglei laughed behind the golden curtain. Li Jingtian, do you see this? This is the true power of Imperial Tyrant body art, martial and spiritual unity, be it physical or soul attacks. Nothing can break the Imperial presence. Think again. Li Jingtian grinned. His black aura disappeared as an eerie power built up while he extended 2 fingers. High Venerable, the only way to make your defeat true is by taking you down at your best. Zhuo Fan cried, elderly. Chapter 444, A Martial Fanatic's Honor. Chapter 444, A Martial Fanatic's Honor. A dreadful wave shot from Li Jingtian's fingers. His face went purple. Blood leaked from his mouth, and the veins in his arms pulsed. Ready to burst, yet none of that could wipe the excitement off his face, releasing every ounce of power he had. That's the profound, ranked martial art, Finger of Death. Sensing the energy, Qiu Yanhai cried, Ever since Steward Zhuo has taught it to us, we haven't had much time to practice it. Yet This geezer has already mastered it. He really is the Mad Dipper. Shui Qingjian nodded in praise. Only Zhuo Fan sighed. Huangpu Fenglei, try this on for size. Despite sucking all of his yuan qi, the move launched quickly, leaving Li Jingtian's finger at his shout whoosh. With a series of bangs, something unseen came out of his fingers and went straight for his target. The roaming dragon was outraged. It grew dozens of times in size and retaliated its power, as if coming from heavens themselves, pressed on the house lords with such might. Fear festered in their hearts. Huangpu Fenglei, wrapped in his pillar of light, showed shock at Li Jingtian hiding such a killer, moved the power of that soul attack, went beyond Radiant Stage, and not even with the help of Imperial Tyrant Body Art's 10th stage could he fend it off. Huangpu Fenglei was sweating, his big eyes taking on a heavy gaze. Qiu Yanhai and Shui Qingjian were panicking. Steward Zhuo, that's combination art. Zhuo Fan shook his head. The two were even more nervous now. But he's just one man? How can he perform combination art? Elderly may very well be the only one who can. Zhuo Fan sighed. Necro Dragon Screech and Finger of Death are soul-profound ranked martial arts and can be combined. But to do that, both have to be executed in tandem, intrinsically at the same time. Even you too will find it hard to achieve it. But with Elderly knowing both of them, combining them is not the issue here. Zhuo Fan's frown deepened, gazing at the aged figure above. Different martial arts imply the yuan qi takes different paths through one's meridians. When you launch an attack, there's always a pause before the next. Elderly, I'm afraid, pulled out all the stops, unleashing the arts at almost the exact same time. This translates into broken meridians from the clashing flows of yuan qi, and you'll be crippled. Elderly may have achieved it, but his body is finished. What Elderly? The couple's faces fell, turning to Li Jingtian. His power was plunging after unleashing the two arts. Elderly, why did you have to go so far? Huangpu Fenglei is strong, but not invincible. There's no hatred between you two, so why must you pay the ultimate price? Zhuo Fan and the power couple were vexed. This is no kill or be killed situation. Xia Tianshang whipped out his sword, coming before them, and smiled at the figure above. Zhuo Fan, you do not understand a martial fanatic's heart. If you do not surpass an opponent you recognize, it will leave one with regrets. Today is when these two sides will settle their differences once and for all. If we fail, we will die. If we win, we will kill them. With your strength, Huangpu Fenglei will most likely die at your hands. Something Elderly can't stop. It means that this is his last chance to fight his enemy. He must defeat his opponent by any means necessary. This is a martial fanatic's will and glory. Spoken like a true martial fanatic, the people watched Elderly pant, as blood kept pouring out of him, but his eyes were full of joy, his smile wide. It's so hard to understand the mind of a martial fanatic. The way I see it, winning is everything. But to win at the cost of your own life is highly inadvisable. Zhuo Fan shook his head, but smiled. Get ready, it's our turn soon. The rest had fire burning in their eyes. The now huge black dragon image above finally clashed with the golden pillar bam. The resulting explosion was like the aftermath of a bomb. The pillars shook under the point-blank impact, slowly getting riddled with cracks. With a snap, it fell apart and dissolved into flickers of light, while the black dragon was relentless in its pursuit for Huangpu Fenglei boom. Huangpu Fenglei felt his brain explode and an excruciating pain riddling his heart. Spitting blood, he slammed the ground, his soul in critical state while his feeble consciousness still held on. He jumped towards Regent Estate. He knew he had lost this fight. Standing around longer would only mean death. Huangpu Fenglei recalled his glorious name as Regent Estates, high venerable, and grief struck him. The fact that he had lost it all in a single move made this grandpa's aged heart wrought with sorrow. Old Li, I'll get you for this next time. Li Jingtian had no time to wait that long. His wretched body had already passed the point of no return. He had to fulfill his wish. No matter the price, blackness exploded from Li Jingtian once again. but so did blood he bore through the pain as he jumped at Huangpu Fenglei. Ha ha ha! High Venerable, let's settle our grudges. Wraith Style's first move. Soaring demonic dragon. We never had any grudges. It's you who is so pig-headed to push it this far. Huangpu Fenglei saw the black figure chase after him and was stunned and puzzled. He noticed Li Jingtian's odd situation. You should lick your wounds first. We have no hatred. So, stop forcing yourself to come after me, all right? Huangpu Fenglei felt like crying, unable to make sense of it all. He'd never guessed that Li Jingtian operated on much simpler motivations, to kill him with his own 2 hands. High Venerable! Huangpu Tianyuan shot forth, bringing joy to Huangpu Fenglei's eyes. Estate Lord! Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed golden in the nick of time, cutting Huangpu Tianyuan's timely aid short. Zhuo Fan! Huangpu Tianyuan gnashed his teeth. Zhuo Fan grinned. Elderly is on my side, and I will respect any decision he makes. You won't be going anywhere. Humph, we'll just see about that. Huangpu Tianyuan's right hand was enveloped in a golden dragon image for a second before turning into a scaled claw, and attacking the sharp talons whistled through the air. Transformation. Earth Dragon Claw. He knew this move all too well, since he had as well courtesy of his own dragon soul. So Zhuo Fan responded with the same coin clang. The clash resulted in screeches grating the ears of others. The two separated. Finding the clash, even Zhuo Fan beamed. So you did train in 9 dragons' diamond body. But that can't be all that a legendary Earth-ranked martial art can do, right? Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan, this is all thanks to the Bodhi root you got for us. But I won't be going easy on you. You are destined to die today. Is that so? Zhuo Fan chuckled, followed by a shifty smile. Chapter 445, King Against King. Chapter 445, King Against King. Estate Lord, save me. Seeing the manic Li Jingtian fast approaching, Huangpu Fenglei swallowed his pride and begged for help, but with Huangpu Tianyuan and Zhuo Fan doing the tango, help was on hold to settle this battle. All Huangpu Tianyuan had to do was squash Zhuo Fan, and with the target right in front of him, victory was not something the life of a High Venerable could outweigh. Safe to say, High Venerable's cries for help went unanswered. Lung Wucheng had a contingency set for just this possibility, calling for the rest to move, and Zhuo Fan had the estate lord blocked. But what about the others? Dozens of radiant stage cultivators and profound heaven experts shot for Huangpu Fenglei. Region estates, 20-plus venerables were even faster. Anyone would panic when their boss life was on the line. Zhuo Fan moved, seeing the crowd, and Huangpu Tianyuan stepped in to block him. Zhuo Fan chuckled, not minding it in the least. Whoosh. Others would handle the radiant stage rescue party, not to worry. The power couple and the 4 scheming demons, with a few radiant stage experts from their 3 allies, moved in while Yu Wanshan's team of profound heaven experts was facing grandmother's team. It was Zhuo Fan's plan and his order. No one was to interfere in Elder Li's fight. Lung Wucheng took in the new battlefield and sighed. No matter the outcome of today's battle, High Venerable's life is forfeit. Li Jingtian arrived at last upon his target, the black aura having reached its peak. Huangpu Fenglei paled. With the rescue team up a creek, he was left to fend for himself. Shouting, he shone golden once more, roaring, Li Jingtian, don't test me, or I'll fight you to the death. Ha ha ha, just what I want. Li Jingtian turned into a black dragon as it went head first. Boom. Black and golden glows clashed, shaking the world around them and turning many heads as the dust settled and smoke rose. The bloody figures became visible. Li Jingtian was soaked in blood. His chest was caved in, vessels had burst, and bones were snapped. His eyes, however, held that look of joy, of pride. Huangpu Fenglei was as pale as a sheet of paper. His pupils dilated and half of his body lay shattered. With vague signs of life, half of his face shuddered, expressing a contorted and grisly image of unbelievable despair. He ran unchecked over Tianyu for 100 years and never conceived it humanly possible for the day to come when he'd lose in such a wretched and nasty way. Li Jingtian, we have no hatred. Why must you be so obsessed with my death? Words slipped out of Huangpu Fenglei's stiff face, coughing from the pain in his chest. Li Jingtian's smile never left him. Huangpu Fenglei, today you lost to me in 3 moves, in your blind arrogance. You once said to me that I was of poor talent, only worthy to be behind you. You were strong then, shaking me to the core as I looked up to you as my role model. But 30 years passed while I trained Imperial Tyrant Body Art to the 7th stage, only to have my cultivation cut short by your refusal, saying that I'm not worthy to pursue the complete art. When I argued, you beat me up in 1 strike. Then you said that I've reached my limit, and no matter which cultivation method I train in, it'd all be wasted on me, and I'm not fit to follow you. Ever since that day, I've only been a mere guest venerable, an outsider to your venerable circle, and seeing those nondescript regent estate venerables training in the full cultivation method, I could never accept this. Even more so when you said that I have reached my limit. I never cared for being an outsider at all. From then on, you have always been my rival, and I vowed to myself to defeat you one day. That day has come, ha ha ha. Li Jingtian spluttered blood. Huangpu Fenglei felt like crying. Li Jingtian, you narrow-minded fool. You've held on to that trifling event till now. To you it may be pointless, but to me it was unforgettable. My path has no end, and no one alive can say otherwise, not even you. Li Jingtian shouted through the pain. Huangpu Fenglei sighed. It is my mistake, my. His eyes closed, his face twitched and relaxed. He had let go of all hatred. Finding peace, Li Jingtian showed a confident smile. High Venerable Huangpu Fenglei was a man who would put honor above all, but he admitted in the end that he was wrong about Li Jingtian because Li Jingtian had beaten him. That too in less than 10 moves, Li Jingtian's cultivation was far from over. I won. Closing his eyes, Li Jingtian collapsed. Xiat Tianshang appeared beside him, helping him up. He only relaxed after sensing his breath as a fellow martial fanatic. The headstrong Li Jingtian was a prime example. He hoped for one day to beat his own rival. Xiat Tianshang's eyes flashed as he looked at Zhuo Fan, shouting, Zhuo Fan elderly is fine, only blacked out from the wounds. Xiat Tianshang took Li Jingtian away. Zhuo Fan relaxed. But Xiat Tianshang's look had him stunned. Why does it feel like he's looking at me like an enemy? Aren't we allies? Zhuo Fan smiled dejectedly and turned to Huangpu Tianyuan. Elder Li and Huangpu Fenglei's battle has reached its end. Our top general's fight now has a conclusion carrying a sad tone with it. What sadness? As kings vying for the crown, power is everything. Huangpu Fenglei died because he was weaker. I'm not sad, so why should you be? Huangpu Tianyuan snorted. Zhuo Fan sighed. I am not sad about your high venerable. Elder Li's story has moved me. A story about someone posing for decades, of how his showboating cracked at the seams in his final moments. It's true what they say, posers get thunderstruck. He got what he deserved. Shouldn't steward Zhuo take heed then, having the same style? Huangpu Tianyuan quipped. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose and nodded. Yeah, after Elder Li's lesson, I think it's best to not only kill those posing in front of me, but also those I'm posing to. Now that you mention it, Estate Lord Huangpu, have I ever posed with you around? Always, but can you kill me? Huangpu Tianyuan raised a taunting eyebrow. Zhuo Fan looked him right in the eye as the calm gave way to endless bloodthirst. He flashed in his enemy's face. Right hand glowing red, Huangpu Tianyuan found the punch already on his chest, reacting only as he was sent flying rumble. Huangpu Tianyuan slammed into 3 mountains, cutting them down to size. Huangpu Tianyuan ended up buried under all the rock slides. Zhuo Fan's grin contorted. I've yet to meet anyone who I've wanted dead, but who has survived. Estate Lord. Regent Estates sighed, shuddered restless. But there was no sign of movement from the rubble. Just as everyone started to believe that he had kicked the bucket in one hit, an eerie cackle came. Hi, 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 Zhuo Fan, is that all your mighty punch can muster? Zhuo Fan deadpanned. Sure enough, Nine Dragons Diamond Body isn't just a fancy name. Now, let us begin our fight, king against king. Chapter 446, Unbreakable Diamond Body. Chapter 446, Unbreakable Diamond Body. Roar. Dragonic cries echoed from the rubble. 8 of them. The dust around glittered as a golden glow reflected off it. Flooding the entire sky, the thick dust had no chance at containing the mighty light. Zhuo Fan watched the display, fully on guard for anyone or anything that might jump at him. Bam! The rubble pile made of 3 ruined mountains erupted, sending rocks around at breakneck speeds. It took just a blink for the faint figure within that rubble to go from there. To overhear the sight of it sent everyone gasping. Calling it a human was putting it mildly. It had the head of a dragon, for sharp talons designed to claw the heavens, covered in scales, and with a steel-like whip to boot. That thing was a man-eating savage beast. 9 Dragons Diamond Body. Full body transformation. Unbreakable diamond body. Zhuo Fan gasped. Huangpu Tianyuan cackled. This is the pinnacle of dragon transformation. 4 dragon souls have become earth dragon claws. 1 earth dragon body, 1 earth dragon head, and the last earth dragon tail. Zhuo Fan, you only have 2 strong arms, of which only 1 is an earth dragon claw. You stand no chance against the might of this unbreakable diamond body. You're finished. Huangpu Tianyuan's eyes shined with bloodlust. Regent Estates' side got fired up, except for Regent Estates' venerables. Everyone was in the dark about Estate Lord Huangpu's newfound power, focused on dealing with Zhuo Fan alone. The worry of how to deal with an exemplary freak like Zhuo Fan was now gone. Giving way to confidence, Estate Lord's indifference at High Venerable's death became obvious now. He had upgraded himself to the ranks of freaks. Regent Estate's morale was at an all-time high, with victory in sight. While this had the opposite effect on Drifting Flowers edifices, Veiled Dragon Pavilion, and Sword Marquis Abode side, it went beyond their predictions for Huangpu Tianyuan to come fully trained in 9 Dragons Diamond Body. That made relying on Zhuo Fan to score a win for them somewhat problematic. Anxiety was building. Only Zhuo Fan was casual of the 9 Dragon Vein souls. 1 was his, and the 8 were right in front of him. But this guy has only used 7 in his transformation. Is there perhaps 1 more transformation? What will he turn into then? Taking in Huangpu Tianyuan's monstrous visage, Zhuo Fan failed to see what other transformation could be added to it. He took this as a warning sign for what may come. The last dragon soul may very well be the move to kill me. All the more reason he had to force the enemy to reveal it, create a counter for it, and when this thing Zhuo Fan flicked his arms. Earth Dragon Soul, transformation! Roar! The roar came from Zhuo Fan's left hand, glowing bright gold and revealing the same claw that Huangpu Tianyuan had 3 to spare. His right hand turned red as well, bringing out the power of Qilin Arm and Earth Dragon Claw. Huangpu Tianyuan opened his sharp maw in a taunting laughter. Like I said, you only have the Earth Dragon Claw, while I have the unbreakable diamond body. It's time I bring back the 9th dragon soul where it belongs. Huangpu Tianyuan was upon Zhuo Fan. In a blink, Zhuo Fan widened his eyes at the sheer speed. Just short of shift, he clawed with his left arm on instinct. Clang. The 2 earth dragon claws screeched on contact. Locked in place, grinning, Huangpu Tianyuan revealed a savage look while holding Zhuo Fan's left arm busy. Zhuo Fan was clear on his plan, wanting to turn this into a contest of raw power, and with the old guy's entire body prepped and primed. Like Gusantong's, he had no weaknesses. While beside his 2 beast fists, Zhuo Fan was all human. Even after the grueling refining, it fell short to an earth dragon's body that made a contest of strength the worst choice, something Huangpu Tianyuan insisted on. Snickering, Huangpu Tianyuan had Zhuo Fan's earth dragon claw busy, while using another claw to slam his brain pan. Bam! This time the clashing sound came from the impact between Zhuo Fan's right arm with the earth dragon claw. The pitch-black eyes looking at him dead in the eye made him clench his teeth. I am more than clear on your left arm, though I am curious. How did you get your right arm to match the earth dragon claw? Quite a fine specimen. I guess I'll just have to rip it out of your cold, dead body. Huangpu Tianyuan's mouth revealed rows of fangs. Zhui Fan snorted. Estate Lord Huangpu, your sons were naive, and you're no different. If my head was such an easy target, I'd have long since lost it by now. But where the Emperor and Gu Santong failed, do you think you'll succeed? He that only makes it vintage, becoming my life's prize trophy. Huangpu Tianyuan laughed, his left earth dragon claw tightening on Zhui Fan's Qilin arm. Zhui Fan fumed inside. He tensed his arms to get away, but found them in a vice. Huangpu Tianyuan laughed. Even if you use an earth dragon claw like me, I am a peak radiant stage cultivator, while you are a stage short. Now that you're going nowhere and your arms are locked, you're like a gimp. But even without these two arms, I can still take your life. Huangpu Tianyuan unhinged his jaw and bit on Zhui Fan's head. The whistling wind between those sharp fangs made Zhui Fan shiver. His allies were shaking with worry. Zhui Fan was pinned down and had no place to dodge. Huangpu Tianyuan had to just clamp down, cutting short his life, and this war. Zhui Fan squinted, his brow soaked, waiting for the last moment as he stared into the mouth of darkness and found the toothed decay of logic festering therein, before ducking his head. Bam! The snap of those fangs rattled the ears of everyone, while almost blowing out Zhui Fan's eardrums. It was a testament to its savage power. Zhui Fan sighed relieved. Unlike the tense audience, he had made a lucky escape, but his position was still very much precarious. His hands were still in deadlock, making him easy picking for the monster looming above. Zhui Fan struggled, but those arms just wouldn't budge. Huangpu Tianyuan toyed with him. Steward Zhua, everyone reaches their end, and today it's yours. You dodged my bite from above, but how will you escape when I attack from below as well? Huangpu Tianyuan opened his mouth again as the tail whipped at Zhui Fan. The shrill sound the tail made as it traveled stung his mind and vexed his heart. It was more than capable of splitting his head down the middle. But dodging it would put him right between those fangs. Zhui Fan was pushed into a corner. Luo clan was worried for him, their hearts in their throats. They wanted to come to his rescue, but with how not even Zhui Fan could overpower Huangpu Tianyuan, their odds were slim. At best, Regent Estate's allies had it better, everyone smiling at Zhui Fan's plight. They'd see the hatred for their ancestors' desecration be repaid in full. Estate Lord Huangpu reigned supreme. Yu Wanshan and others got to an early celebration, but in the face of such a problem, while tied and facing the jaws of death, Zhui Fan showed no fear. Maybe his flashing right eye had something to do with it. Chapter 447, Stompia. Chapter 447, Stompia. Divine Eye of the Void's first stage, shift. Whoosh! Zhui Fan appeared 100 meters away, just as Huangpu Tianyuan chomped down with another resounding snap. The tail swept in tandem, cutting the air with such force. A shockwave flew at a lonely hill a kilometer away, whipping it out of existence. The people tensed up at the overbearing display of power. The slightest twitch from that tail will have any one of us gone from this world. Just like that hill. Zhui Fan's eyes were fixed on the ghastly creature. Rejoicing at his timely escape, he had Divine Eye of the Void to thank for the lucky break alert as he was against 9 dragons' diamond body. Facing it was still deadly. The earlier display was enough to make his skin crawl. That's what got him so confident that he can handle me, and Gu Santong, once he got the Bodhi root. Zhui Fan settled his frantic heart with a long breath crack. Turning his head, Huangpu Tianyuan's neck let out snapping sounds, mocking, "Ah, almost forgot you have that as well. You're fast, sure, but are you faster than me?" Huangpu Tianyuan flicked his tail and was on Zhui Fan. In a blink, Zhui Fan saw 2 claws going for his head and the steel tail coming at him again. Zhui Fan's eye flashed golden again, and he was gone. But just as he appeared, Huangpu Tianyuan flicked his tail to be in his face moments later, while Zhui Fan was popping all over. Huangpu Tianyuan was with him every step of the way, leaving no room to even breathe. Everyone was a bundle of nerves watching them go. It was a first to see the ever-cocky Zhui Fan being on the run, taking with him the confidence they had in winning this war. With Zhui Fan on the run, Who else was left to deal with Huangpu Tianyuan? Zhuo Fan was overwhelmed as well. No matter where he went, the guy was there to welcome him, putting the squeeze on him more and more, worked to show that his divine eye of the void had room for improvement. His training lacking Yuan Shan, and the others were overjoyed. Grinning from ear to ear, two blue wings sprouted from Zhuo Fan's back. Sea phantom wings, their bluish glow spread, and Huangpu Tianyuan felt his mind slowing down. His view becoming hazy, but as he had trained in 9 Dragons' diamond body, he was a peak radiant stage expert and had the soul to fight back the illusion, but it proved to be a delay enough for experts of Zhuo Fan's caliber. This is my chance. Zhuo Fan used this gap to use his red right arm to punch Bam. Huangpu Tianyuan was blown away. Zhuo Fan's mouth curled up, but then his face froze and trembled. And no way! The mighty Qilin arm, actually. Rumble. Huangpu Tianyuan tumbled in the air a few times before getting upright again. He looked at his chest and grinned. There was a faint imprint there, but nothing he couldn't handle. Hi, Zhuo Fan, is that all you could muster after finally catching me open? Humph, that barely even tickled. Huangpu Tianyuan cackled, with his allies tooting their horns in tandem, drifting flowers edifices, and the rest were only getting glum. Huangpu Tianyuan was like an unbreakable monster, robbing them of any chance at victory, even if they got lucky enough to take a shot at him, since besides luck, one had to target his weakness, scoring them the win. But Huangpu Tianyuan didn't have any weaknesses. Zhuo Fan's side was in the pits of despair. Shadow King, Sima Hui, and Feng Qiubai, the innocent bystanders close by, were speechless. We all sensed Huangpu Tianyuan was reborn, but never imagined he'd train in 9 Dragons' diamond body. Zhuo Fan can't do anything. Shadow King sighed. If this keeps up, it'll be Regent Estate's victory. And Huangpu Tianyuan becomes our greatest threat. Sima Hui sighed. We would have lent the Luo clan a hand earlier if we had known. But now Huangpu Tianyuan has an overwhelming position, and this will only make dealing with him harder. The others nodded, and Feng Qiubai said, Gu Santong may be the only one who can fight him. But ever since he went after Zhuo Fan, the bugger has gone missing. Maybe Zhuo Fan finished him off. Shadow King snorted. The kid is tough, but a child at heart. With Zhuo Fan's schemes, even being weaker he'd have supreme advantage. It'd be simple to kill him in some way or another. Without Gu Santong, how are we supposed to deal with Huangpu Tianyuan? We were supposed to work with Huangpu Tianyuan to nab Zhuo Fan and then get him later. But now, even if we team up with Zhuo Fan, the 9 Dragons' diamond body isn't easy to surmount. All we can do is watch. His Majesty's plan already has deviations. Sima Hui sighed. Shadow King nodded. Don't be so sure. We still have 2 more people. Who? Sima Hui asked. Shadow King's eyes flashed in anger. His Majesty's 5 divine dragons are real, and he does have 2 experts back in the imperial capital. They were tasked to constrict Gu Santong, but by the looks of things, they'll be going against 9 Dragons' diamond body. What? The 2 cried. These 2 divine dragons were in the dark about this. While Shadow King knew them quite well, judging by his tone, Shadow King smiled at their bewilderment and recalled out loud, "They're old friends of mine in a way, and more than worthy to be called divine dragons. It's natural to not know about them, since you came later. Wouldn't you have been quicker to leave His Majesty's side otherwise, knowing he'd be defenseless?" The 2 exclaimed, "It's all part of His Majesty's plan." But they've been by his side for so many years, yet the Emperor not once let it slip about the extra 2 divine dragons. It went to show how uneasy he felt about them. The 2 sighed, souring inside. Back to Zhuo Fan, he glared at his enemy, plans running wild in that head of his. His right arm shone brighter. He still won't give up? Stop wasting time. I am invincible. You can struggle all you want, but your destiny is to lie dead at my feet. Zhuo Fan, there's no getting out of this one. Huangpu Tianyuan's eyes flashed with savagery. Zhuo Fan snickered, flicking his shining red arm. Who can tell? Since my punch does nothing, I'll just have to stomp ya. Stomp. Huangpu Tianyuan glanced at his legs in derision. You only have powerful arms. You think your puny legs can do what your arms can't? We won't know until we try. Humph! Zhuo Fan's twisted smile came. Huangpu Tianyuan's common sense was tingling. But seeing how Zhuo Fan's latest tricks were for naught, he had stopped paying it any attention, no matter how sly and slippery Zhuo Fan was. In the face of true power, it was all moot. Huangpu Tianyuan swished his tail and shot for Zhuo Fan. The latter used shift to pop 100 meters above. Huangpu Tianyuan flicked his tail to go after him. Just as Zhuo Fan's mouth curled into a creepy smile, his red right arm smashing down at him, Huangpu Tianyuan scoffed, using an earth dragon claw to block on contact. The red fist exploded in size, changing its shape from a fist into a spiritual beast's hoof in the face of the rippling winds. The ridiculous power and boundless might. Huangpu Tianyuan knew he had fallen for it good with Zhuo Fan. Coming from above and him from below, it was far too late to dodge. The red hoof even brought along a sense of danger. He hated himself for not keeping his guard up around this punk. Zhuo Fan was laughing. Huangpu Tianyuan, I'll trample those old bones of yours. Tangible projection. Soaring Qilin leg. Chapter 448. Returning Dragon's Roar. Chapter 448. Returning Dragon's Roar. Elite Coder. Bam! It looked like a hunk of rock was coming down as the red Qilin leg impacted Huangpu Tianyuan's face, stomping down hard enough to crack something. Going by those sounds, Huangpu Tianyuan put up all four claws. But nothing had any damn use in stopping it. He kissed the ground so hard the shock wave engulfed the battlefield. Many experts spat blood from it. Taking some much-needed safety distance, the dust rose and covered both of them as the dust settled. Light showed a horrifying scene. Zhuo Fan's right arm had turned into a 100-meter tall blood-red pillar. It stood upright and tall as it held up the sky. Zhuo Fan was so tiny next to it, making the contrast sharper on how a human being could release such a pillar. Shadow King's side was dumbstruck. Just when they thought they'd seen it all, Zhuo Fan had to get freakier with an even crazier move. That's what he meant by stomping. He has a third leg. But what kind of savage beast has such power? Staring at the 7th-level spiritual beast wings on Zhuo Fan's back and at the hoofed right arm, it got them wondering, how many inhuman parts does he have? Monster. They all thought of it, gulped and shook with fear. Zhuo Fan was still within the limits of a human monster up till now, but had gone beyond with this display. No one there took this conclusion as a good thing. Drifting Flowers edifices, Veiled Dragon Pavilion, and Sword Marquis' abode jumped in fright, albeit happy at the reversal. He finally had the upper hand against the 9 dragons' diamond body. His advantage was directly proportionate with their odds at winning this war. Yuan Shan's side slumped, their hearts a mess. Just a minute ago, they were hollering that Huangpu Tianyuan had surpassed the freaky Zhuo Fan, only to find out that Zhuo Fan was in fact a human-faced monster. How do you top that? You can go full Earth Dragon for all I care. You still can't take even one of his hits. Yuan Shan's side found their earlier confidence maybe just a tiny bit premature. Every single move of Zhuo Fan is filled with mystery and tricks. You can't take him down so easily. Zhuo Fan had better things to do than to mind them, like smiling evilly. The Qilin leg stuck deeper into the ground, compressing hundreds of meters into a mere dozen. Yuan Shan and Regent estates, venerables felt like crying unknown, as was the fate of their estate lord under that hoof. But now they wondered if there'd even be a corpse left. If you go on trampling any more, we won't even find a bone left. That's just barbaric. Zhuo Fan's belief was that true ruthlessness grasped certain victory crack. Zhuo Fan just kept on pushing, snapping the bedrock like twigs. Each sound only helped drive fear and dread into Yuan Shan and allies. Drifting Flowers edifices side was glad Zhuo Fan had made a comeback. But even they found it hard to see him still going at it. Dude, take it easy. Do you have to turn him into a bone meal? Zhuo Fan's capacity for cruelty was only in relation to Huangpu Tianyuan's danger. He wouldn't leave the enemy the slightest chance. He had to finish him off. This ought to do it. Zhuo Fan's arm glowed red and returned to being an innocent arm peering into the hole. He was speechless. The bedrock was turned to powder under the Qilin leg's power, and a man everyone knew rested in the middle of all the sand. Albeit cracked all over, with blood leaking, it was safe to say that he was barely breathing. He's still alive despite Qilin leg's full power? Zhuo Fan gasped. Everyone had witnessed the might of the Qilin leg, and now they bore testament to the tough 9 dragons' diamond body. The guy's freaking tough. Cough. Blood spewed with every motion from his nose and mouth, ears and eyes. But Huangpu Tianyuan got his feet under him, laughing. Zhuo Fan, I definitely didn't see that one coming. But even with that killer move, you still can't take me down. To hell with you and your body. You're now broken and wounded. Since I couldn't kill you with the Qilin leg the first time, the second attempt will finish you off. Humph, you're half dead. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed. Huangpu Tianyuan only laughed harder. Half alive is more like it. Did you forget already? My 9 dragons' diamond body has reached this step with the help of Bodhi root. It's not just tough, but unbreakable. Huangpu Tianyuan made a sign and barked. 9 dragons' diamond body. 8th dragon's soul transformation. Returning dragons roar. Roar. Under the shocked looks of everyone, a green dragon's soul shot out of his body and roared as it circled above him. Green lights fell upon him, healing him to perfection, not even leaving a scar as the scales knit back together when the dragon's soul returned back inside. He was now the very picture of health. Zhuo Fan's eyes trembled in shock. The ascending dragon fused with the Bodhi root and gets this bastard back to full health every time he's damaged. Adding that tough body into the mix, and you'd have an indestructible killing machine. Zhuo Fan frowned. Shadow King's side was keyed up. Huangpu Tianyuan's outrageous power blew their minds. How were they going to beat that? Even if Gu Santong steps in, not even he can do anything. With this old monster healing back whenever, no one can beat him. Fang Qiubai shook his head. What about the other 2 divine dragons? Can they do it? Shadow King said, all I know is that they can handle Gu Santong but cannot kill him. I reckon Huangpu Tianyuan falls in the same category. As long as there's a way, we'll just think about killing him later. Sima, Hui muttered. Huangpu Tianyuan stretched his limbs in taunt to Zhuo Fan above. Yet the man was calm and cool. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed, and he punched with his right arm again. Since I have no way to finish him off yet, I'll stall him. Torturing him is better than nothing. And who knows, maybe a way to kill him will come out of it. Classic delaying tactic. First bind the enemy, then get some time to think. It was such an obvious choice that even Huangpu Tianyuan could see it. So he retaliated with a flick of his tail and jumped out. Boom. Zhuo Fan's leg smashed the ground, but not Huangpu Tianyuan. Frowning, Zhuo Fan sighed inside. And of course it never goes as planned. He only got Huangpu Tianyuan the first time because of how close they were and having the element of surprise, but Huangpu Tianyuan was a fast learner. He had to keep some distance, and that speed of his was enough to stay clear. What was even worse was that Huangpu Tianyuan wasn't a cocky old coot like he acted, but was cautious instead. The worst enemy was a cautious one. Zhuo Fan's side coming out empty with the enemy on guard left Zhuo Fan in truly dire straits. Case in point, he didn't have the time to take back his Qilin leg as a bloody maw came from behind. Zhuo Fan, now it's my turn, ha ha ha. Chapter 449, Qilin Shield. Chapter 449, Qilin Shield. With a roar of laughter, a sharp sound came from behind Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan used his left arm to fend it off as his right arm returned to normal size for receiving the next blow. Zhuo Fan's red hand was now holding a tail, but he wasn't out of the woods yet, as Huangpu Tianyuan's second claw came for him. With both hands busy and being unable to use Divine Eye of the Void at such short notice, Zhuo Fan resorted to using his wings as a cover rip. The Earth Dragon's claw pierced them like paper, soaking him in blood. Zhuo Fan's brow trembled with pain. Yet he was covered with sweat. At least the sea phantom wings were from a 7th-level spiritual beast and were tough enough to hold the earth dragon's claw back. With the both of them, Zhuo Fan's wings trembled, giving his all to resist. Huangpu Tianyuan opened his mouth as the claws and tail struggled in their confinements. Zhuo Fan needed the slightest distraction, and his head would roll. The sight of Zhuo Fan getting pushed back got everyone tense. He couldn't do anything but be on the receiving, and it was hard to believe Huangpu Tianyuan was just that strong with his 9 dragons diamond body. Zhuo Fan was only in the profound heaven stage, and even his 2 beast arms weren't enough to save him from a hard time. Blast it! I can only retreat. Zhuo Fan sighed, not liking it one bit. As his eyes shined golden, Huangpu Tianyuan could see it clear as day that he wanted to hightail away from the battle with Zhuo Fan's cunning. Falling for his tricks once was bad enough. He had to finish him off now. When he had the upper hand, who knew what this guy might cook up the next time around? Zhuo Fan was weak here and now, but his endless bag of tricks made him unpredictable. If by some miracle he escapes this time, it'd be even harder to beat him next time, and he needed to deal with Zhuo Fan fast. There was the imperial family to consider as well. Leaving Zhuo Fan alive now would be cutting his own feet in his fight with the imperial family. This has to end now. Huangpu Tianyuan's eyes flashed with bloodlust, making even Zhuo Fan shiver, but that wasn't important, as the golden halo in his eye promised safety. Ha ha ha. Huangpu Tianyuan, since I can't beat you, we'll be sure to meet again. Zhuo Fan snickered as he poofed away hum. The ripple was faint, and where a peak radiant stage expert might fail to pick it up, a 9 dragons diamond body could. His creepy ears flinched, and Huangpu Tianyuan mocked. Hi, fat chance, Zhuo Fan. 9 dragons diamond body, earth dragon wave. Roar. Huangpu Tianyuan held at a spot 1,000 meters away. A beam of yellow shot from his maw. Just as Zhuo Fan appeared, panting, Zhuo Fan cried inside, but it was too late. Boom! The explosion shone bright, and Zhuo Fan caught the yellow pillar right in his chest. He paid a summary visit to the bowls of 5 mountains before being buried under their rubble. There was so much dust that it formed a hurricane. It soon cleared and revealed everything in ruins. A red trail came out of the rocks like a bloody spring, and robbed any hope of Zhuo Fan being alive. Steward Zhuo! Qiu Yanhai and the rest panicked. Drifting Flowers edifices and Veiled Dragon Pavilion were also worried. Huangpu Tianyuan mocked. Dragon Vein Soul is a guardian spirit of the lands. Since I train in the 9 dragons diamond body, and am also in the earth dragon form, I can pick up any changes in the area. Messing with space around me is like painting a target on your back. That earth dragon wave is my true power. Not even the earth dragon claw can handle it, to say nothing of getting hit squarely in the chest. He's dead beyond any doubt. Huangpu Tianyuan is invincible. Yu Wanshan's side cheered while the Luo clan paled, their hopes seeping out of them like the blood from those rocks. Huangpu Tianyuan's declaration wasn't just a brag. Steward Zhuo had the worst luck this time, but without him, what were they supposed to do? Despair set in faster than they could accept it. Huangpu Tianyuan only had eyes for Zhuo Fan. To a peak radiant stage expert, only he mattered. The rest were mere flies as long as Zhuo Fan died. Everything else would be foregone conclusion. He had a firm grasp at victory already. Fong Qiubai sighed, lamenting and shaking their heads. A mighty character like Zhuo Fan ended up getting one shot by Huangpu Tianyuan. This power is outrageous. Sima Hui watched the monster with fear. Shadow King sighed. 9 dragons diamond body having a tough body was bad enough, but with the Bodhi root he's invincible. He's worse than Gu Santong. I wonder if those 2 and I can fight him off. Senior, that's not all. When Gu Santong wrecked Tianyu, he did it alone. His fists were too few to handle so many and ended up limited. But Huangpu Tianyuan wants the world. He has both an army and power. It will be far harder than Gu Santong. Fong Qiubai, said the others, considered, and sighed again. The battlefield turned quiet, with all fighting stopped, and everyone turned towards Huangpu Tianyuan. either in fear or joy or respect, but to Huangpu Tianyuan, neither allies nor enemies mattered ever since killing Zhuo Fan. He understood one thing from those worshipping gazes. Allies or enemies meant nothing. Only ultimate power mattered. With enough power, no one could touch him. With enough power, no one would question him, ha ha ha. Laughing, Huangpu Tianyuan flew to Zhuo Fan's tomb, roaring, Zhuo Fan, it's time you return the last dragon soul. I want to reach the ethereal stage, becoming the first in Tianyu. Before reaching the mound, a wave from the rubble caught him. First, Huangpu Tianyuan halted, looking in the sky. Zhuo Fan, how are you still alive? Zhuo Fan was up there the next moment, albeit pale, bloody, and out of breath. His chest sported an extra large hole as well. How convenient that it never went through him completely. He was only heavily wounded, but still alive. Qiu Yanhai's sighed. Zhuo Fan's very existence kept hope alive. What trick did you pull? That earth dragon wave had the power of 8 dragon souls. Those hands might have saved you, but anywhere else it hits, it'd run through you and blast you apart. Even if you used the 2 arms to defend, the shock would have wrecked your body. How is it that you're barely wounded? Huangpu Tianyuan cried foul. Zhuo Fan snickered. Humph! Well, you have the earth dragon wave. I have the Qilin shield. Don't think you can write me off in one hit. Zhuo Fan looked at the red glow over him in joy, as luck had it. From refining the Qilin arm into his body, it even released a red shield that was the same red cover he saw back in Lightning Canyon. The soaring Qilin's defense, with how not even Heavenly Emperor's purple lightning could pierce it. How could anything else? Zhuo Fan was badly hurt by the impact with the Earth Dragon wave and not the subsequent shocks, or he'd be in pieces. By now, Zhuo Fan sure was glad that he made the trip to Lightning Canyon. Huangpu Tianyuan's eyes grew savage. Zhuo Fan was playing too close to the now hollow chest, with too many skills. Dread started pouring in. Thinking of the future, Zhuo Fan snickered. This round is yours. We'll be seeing ya. His wings carried his broken body away. Huangpu Tianyuan roared after him. Where do you think you're going? Your head stays right here. The 2 were gone in a blink. The battlefield was filled with dumb faces. With the commanders gone, what are we supposed to do? Lung Wucheng shouted all of a sudden. Damn it, it's Zhuo Fan's trick. Fall back. Chapter 450, Poisoners Collide. Chapter 450, Poisoners Collide. What's wrong, Sir Lung? The enemy's morale is weakened. How can we retreat now? Yu Wanshan asked Lung. Wucheng's mood was heavy, pondering before speaking. I am not too clear myself, but this situation reminds me of the fight in the esoteric debate. The House Lord's heart seized. You can also feel it, right? Zhuo Fan was on the ropes, with no way out, but we all know how that turned out. Lung Wucheng's heart thumped. Yuan Shan stood dumbstruck and fearful, turning utter defeat into complete victory. Sir Lung, are you saying this time as well? He know. He's clearly wounded, defenseless, routed. Yuan Shan refused to believe, but still droned, though the same happened to him in the esoteric debate. No, he had it far worse then. Yet, he still won, breaking Huangpu Qingtian's team and torturing them to death. Sir Lung, do you mean today's defeat is a trap? Yen Bagong shuddered. Since the esoteric debate, Zhuo Fan's savagery had left him traumatized. In any case like this one, the enemy was left for dead, waiting for them to take their head. But everyone knew Zhuo Fan was an anomaly as long as there was breath in his body. Anything could happen. They've seen it far too many times, how Zhuo Fan flipped the tables in the worst cases and ways imaginable. Lung Wucheng sighed. I am not sure. The kid is one of the few I can't see through. But one thing is certain. Zhuo Fan was defeated today, but even so he fled. This is a trap to lure the tiger. Everyone shuddered and looked at the 2 armies. Without Huangpu Tianyuan to back them, they were losing ground in this war. They would end up defeated with both sides experts around the same level. Only Luo clan's fiends stood apart. Not to mention the power couple could waste a regent estate venerable in a blink. each while the 4 scheming demons could keep 20 of them busy and suffering if the fight started. They would have heavy casualties. And even if Huangpu Tianyuan made a lucky return, they would only get a bitter victory, and to think that they still had to fight the imperial family, they all found it not worth it. The house lords glanced at Leng Wucheng and nodded, but they had to get the Luo clan's approval. First Qiu Yanhai and Shuai Qingjian showed a creepy smile. Qiu Yanhai roared, "Brothers and allies of the Luo clan together now. Let's crush them." "Elder Qiu, our morale is low." "How, grandmother," cried. Shuai Qingjian waved. "They say Lady of Steel fears nothing, so why are you so shaky?" "Don't you see, with the superpowers gone from each camp, the situation is in our favor. Even if it's a bitter victory, it's still a victory. Hi, hi, hi." Grandmother looked at everyone to find it was true. She and the other house lord were too caught up in their despair over Zhuo Fan's loss to see with fresh eyes. With those 2 freaks out of the mix, they were the strongest. Grandmother eyed her allies. Was it Steward Zhuo's plan? The 2 looked at each other, then nodded. The couple was out of the loop, just as well though. Zhuo Fan would never do things half-measured. His loss had to be real. But that wasn't the issue here, instead turning it into a chance at victory, something Zhuo Fan gave them to get their spirits up. The power couple had to say it's Zhuo Fan's idea, grandmother, and company got fired up. They fell for Steward Zhuo's trap. Attack! Roar! The depressed Luo clan faction perked up on the fly and roared in a war. The losing side would technically be down in the dumps, but led to believe it was all part of Zhuo Fan's ingenious and foolproof scheme, and reminded of his sly character. None took his defeat as real and stormed the enemy. The enemy froze, like sitting ducks. Does that mean we fell for his trap? Regent Estates sighed, turned to the powers that be. But they were now listening to Leng Wucheng's conjecture. They knew it was not like Qiu Yanhai painted it. So how can they still get their spirits up? Those leaders joined them in putting on the same dumbstruck face. Regent Estate factions' morale hit rock bottom, with some even believing that the estate lord was now Zhuo Fan's punching bag in a convoluted scheme of his estate lord was tough. But nothing could stand Zhuo Fan's freaky mind games. Wasn't the eldest young master toyed to death in a 4 versus 1 battle? Everyone paled, their hearts sinking and losing all hope, while the other side was roaring to go. Looking at them like a bunch of sheeps waiting for the axe to fall, Yuan Shan cursed. For God's sake! How the hell did it come to this? It's too late to fall back now. They'll hunt us down. It's better to fight. Is Estate Lord Huangpu so dull as to not see such a simple trick? Yeah, how did he get duped by such an old trick? Leng Wucheng sighed, but he knew the truth. Huangpu Tianyuan was never duped, but was only taking a calculated risk. Zhuo Fan was a bigger threat than the fate of this battle. Regent Estates experts might die here today, but as long as Zhuo Fan fell, it was a win in his book. He was overconfident in his 9 dragons diamond body, thinking of himself as unstoppable estate lord. Has the taste of victory gone to your head? Did you forget about Gu Santong 300 years ago? Leng Wucheng sighed. The armies clashed. Rainbow Cloud Palm. Yen Bagong in the lead unleashed his poison mist to gain the advantage, but his efforts were met with another poison mist from the Luo clan. Pushing it back, 9 poison fantasy palm. Yen Song roared. The mist vanished and appeared every now and then, making defense useless. It not only absorbed the rainbow cloud palm, but even poisoned many experts, to the point that even Radiant Stage experts took a breath of it at some point, getting their power cut. What poison art is that? Yen Bagong stammered. Yen Song snickered. Hall Lord, time sure flies, eh? Do you perhaps find Steward Zhuo's 9 poison fantasy palm a bit stronger than Pill King Hall's rainbow cloud palm? Damn traitor, you dare show your face to me? Yen Bagong cursed. Yen Song grinned. Yen Bagong, I never fought you out of respect, but after leaving Pill King Hall, how did you treat my disciple? Today we'll settle all debts. Debt? The both of you are Pill King Hall's traitors. I will kill you where you stand and cleanse my house. Yen Bagong shot for Yen Song, who did the same. Boom. Two palms clashed, and the poison spread so far that everyone moved 1,000 meters away. They knew the rainbow cloud palm all too well and had no trouble dodging it, but in 9-poison fantasy palms case, with its endless variations, it was impossible to defend all 81 poisons from seeping in. In seconds, Yen Bagong was riddled with 5 colored spots, poisoned and in pain as a fellow poisoner. He knew the hellish power this move had, but with how this move was stronger than Pilking Hall's, along with its eerie movements, he failed to stay clear, ending up losing power as he was poisoned. The more he fought, the worse it got, and the tears welled. Where the hell did Yen Song get this art? Wasn't Pilking Hall the best in Tianyu when it comes to poison and pills? His face fell as he recalled every Luo clan's expert's unique and amazing art. Yen Bagong knew Zhuo Fan was a monster. Is he a living library or what? How the hell does he come up with so many cultivation methods, and even a poison one at that? A damn conniving deceiver. Yen Bagong cursed as his face fell. He knew the poison ran deep within him. Chapter 451. The Turning Specialist. Chapter 451. The Turning Specialist. The armies smashed into each other like floods. The side who pushed the other, who pressed their momentum, would soon gain control over the entire battlefield, a role most suited to a poisoner. Especially when it came to wars, Zhuo Fan looked down on poisoners, saying that they were useless in a battle of experts. But when it came to culling, no one was better at it, and in a battle like this, a poisoner was a force to be reckoned with, a veritable grim reaper, doing his job as God intended. Yen Bagong knew of his importance, wishing to use this chance to showcase his power, but against the traitorous Yen Song, his chance was gone, and he had instead suffered from poisoning himself in a cruel twist of irony. It only worked to shame him further. The great Hall Lord, using poison to kill others, was now being served the same coin. And Yen Song's poison wasn't limited to affecting him, but regent to state factions, experts, en masse. If he pulled back now, there'd be nothing left of his name to speak of. You. Wan Shan watched the poison mist as he retreated. A dozen radiant stage experts, confident in their strength, pushed through it to take Yen Song down. He had to die for their army to survive. Luo clan's power couple entered the scene, midway pushing these oldies back with miserable faces. And that wasn't even half of it. What got them so wretched and wishing they could tear the two piece by piece was that Luo clan in its entirety had inherited Zhuo Fan's expert turning skills with the fall of Hell Valley. Pilking Hall and Merrywoods, Luo clan had bolstered their elder ranks with every fallen house. The venerables and elders who did not crack under Zhuo Fan's masterful silver tongue promises ended up as an example for those who did, but some stragglers were bound to have escaped the destruction of the houses and returned to their house. Lords, it was all good and well, so far. With these new elders being quite close to each other, and Yen Song's poison to clear a path, once Luo clan had the upper hand, they'd follow Zhuo Fan's vile plan into striking their hearts, and not chase a vanquished enemy when push came to shove. These experts would choose self-destruction, and that would have been a far worse scenario. So before the war started, Zhuo Fan taught them to target their minds, appeal to their compassion and friendship. The best plan so far, and so, within the cruel battlefield, some very touching and sappy reunions cropped up in remote corners. Brother, why you turned over to Luo clan? Hell Valley's third venerable looked at the other in shock. I thought Zhuo Fan had you killed 3. The ex-high venerable of Hell Valley sighed. It's a long story. All in all, we're with the Luo clan now. Zhuo Fan is a tyrant, but as long as you don't anger him, he has quite the respect for us. And he even welcomed us with cultivation methods, the likes of which Tianyu has never seen. We are certain that in 50 years we can enter the ethereal stage. What? The third venerable stood dumbstruck. Brother, didn't you say there's no chance for us to reach it with our talent? Ha ha ha, that was earlier, with Hell Valley's limited resources. But after getting to know the Luo clan, I realized that those 7 noble houses are nothing but ignorant whelps. Luo clan has a far bigger legacy than even the imperial family. There are rare ingredients piled up in mountains in countless rings. Vicious Pill King Yensong's only job is to take some alchemy disciples and bake in the pill house. They even use 6th grade ingredients to raise the success of making just 3rd grade pills. 100,000 of them. A true waste, such money bags. High Venerable praised 3rd Venerable was stunned. Why is a 3rd-rate clan so awesome? With their stuff, no one in Tianyu can compare. It's like they've harvested the nation for 1,000 years. High Venerable turned serious. Old 3rd, we each have our lords. I hate for being the one to hurt you, brother, and can only present you with 3 choices. Leave and live in seclusion far away from here. Stay and I will have no choice but to fight you, or join Luo clan and live together with your brothers. That 3rd Venerable was conflicted. Since you do not want to join us, I can only hope you'd leave. We have worked together for so many years. I'd hate to see my brother's bloody face. High Venerable shook his head. 3rd Venerable waved all over the place. Oh, no, elder brother, you're wrong. I just want to ask, are you for real? 3rd Venerable's eyes shone with greed. Of course. Have I ever lied to you in all these years? High Venerable stuck his head out. Old 3rd Shuofan is a master tactician and already has a plan in place to handle everything. Did you really think Regent Estate was going to win? Look around you. Luo clan is on a constant rise. Even if Huangpu Tianyuan is strong, he is chasing his grave. There will only ever be Shuofan in this world. He has destroyed all houses in Tianyu, even his allies. High Venerable whispered. Steward Zhua has set up the Luo clan as the biggest, making it the supreme power in Tianyu. I am not going to lie to you. Come, join us as a new elder. This will be your only chance. What a single power. Zhuofan has such ambition? 3rd Venerable pondered and nodded. Elder brother, I wish not to ruin our brotherhood and can only hope to stand by your side as we make history. Good, old 3rd. I expected nothing less. High Venerable grabbed his palm, taking a vial from his back with a bloodworm inside. Brother, to enter Luo clan, you must take this bloodworm. 3rd Venerable found it improper. But from High Venerable's stern look, this was no game recalling again the promise of resources from Luo clan. The 3rd Venerable swallowed it. High Venerable laughed. Going together on a nice little trip to Regent Estate to murder the rest of, and the same exchange happened all over the place. Saying it's out of brotherhood when the dangling bait was just too damn good. These guys were homeless anyway. They didn't even have time to worry about resources. Along came the Luo clan extending its gold-plated hand. Who in their right mind would refuse it? As an extra proof of sincerity, it came from old pals. The battle was a few hours, and when Yuan Shan and the other lords found something strange. What are the venerables and elders doing, slaughtering their way over? Wasn't it a bit early to come back? And why are there so many of them? Taking a good deal of time to process this, they all came to one conclusion: fall back. Much of a war this turned out to be. The enemy didn't come to kill us, but to turn us. How could they win now? All that was left was for them to turn as well. Lung Wuchang's side. Zhuofan's psychological warfare is otherworldly. Just what did he use to achieve it? There must be something off about this to get so many in such a short time. Back to Regent Estate. We'll think about it then. Lung Wuchang shouted to his faction. Luo clan was hot on their tail. Shadow King's trio watched the odd war with dumb faces. What the hell? What did Luo clan do to them? Isn't it too fast? Shadow King was flabbergasted. Feng Qiubai's side. If you're looking for a specialist in turning experts, go to Wingay City's Luo clan and find Zhuofan. Shadow King's face twitched. Even with Zhuofan away, everything still played by his rules. Regent Estate's victory was based on Huangpu Tianyuan's 9 dragons diamond body alone, while Zhuofan had some tactical counters in place besides just himself. To put it another way, this trick of his had a heavier impact than his strength in this aspect. Zhuofan had Lung Wuchang beat by miles, again using himself as bait. Feng Qiubai's side. Zhuofan used the same tactic in an esoteric debate with flying colors. While now he has caught Lung Wucheng unprepared, his schemes working at full power even while he is away. He won in every aspect. In your opinion, was his defeat fake? Shadow King looked at the sky. Then he must have a way to deal with Huangpu Tianyuan. I'm really curious about what can possibly hold 9 dragons, Diamond Body in check. Zhuo Fan's final rivals may very well be us. Feng Choubai and Sima, Hui nodded while flying away to watch the events play out. Chapter 452, Little Qilin Support. Chapter 452, Little Qilin Support. Whoosh! A flash of red dotted the sky every now and then. In sync with Zhuo Fan's right eye's golden glow, right behind him was a yellow light. Just missing him with each jump, but so fast that no one could identify what it was. Zhuo Fan appeared a mile away, just to see the same yellow light on his trail. He gnashed his teeth, spat blood a few times, and went right back to running. Zhuo Fan kept popping up every mile. But no matter what he did, he just couldn't shake his yellow tail. Huangpu Tianyuan was right behind him 3 whole days. That was how long the 2 played around Zhuo Fan's chest hole was still leaking, his face whiter than paper. Yet he never stopped shifting, not even to catch a breath. Even a minute delay would have that freak tearing him a new one. Zhuo Fan shook his head. His only gripe with 9 dragons' diamond body was its capacity to get Huangpu Tianyuan to the ethereal stage once all 9 dragon souls were together. Now that would spell doom for even him. Thus, he just let the old guy have those 8 dragons reaching peak radiant stage, while thinking that no matter how strong he got, he would be no match for the sacred beast Qilin's leg with tangible projection. The Qilin arm would be like a strike from the heavens, smashing everything, if not killing him outright. Reality confirmed this truth as well. Huangpu Tianyuan lay twisted under the Qilin leg, even with the 9 dragons' diamond body, but out of Zhuo Fan's calculations, the Bodhi root was integrated in the 9 dragons' diamond body to use that returning dragon shtick, and it let him get right back in action. It made his body truly invincible, and even left Zhuo Fan speechless on how to counter it. Huangpu Tianyuan didn't give him room to work his brain either, counterattacking and turning this into Zhuo Fan's second life's second, loss first. Was Gu Santong. Of course, Zhuo Fan had to admit he had come short of 9 dragons' diamond body. And even though he did lose, it did not mean defeat, as the ill-reputed steward of Luo clan directed his allies like a conductor. No one could stand up to those twisted and vile schemes of his. So when this chase was the only option left, he said to hell with honor and left the battlefield in the hands of his most capable peons. He was totally convinced, based on Luo clan's experts and those enticing tricks, that the Regent estate would fall. Tricks only effective if Huangpu Tianyuan was out of the picture, even if momentarily. Otherwise, the old bag of diamond bones would have been a beacon of hope, and the turning would have to be cut short. Who wouldn't be afraid of this freak breaking their melon? Certainly not a fresh traitor. Zhuo Fan just had to get Huangpu Tianyuan away for his devious plan to work. But was the great estate Lord Huangpu going to take the bait? Just like that. Yep. Zhuo Fan was that certain. For starters, after beating Zhuo Fan, his confidence in his strength exploded to new, unseen heights. With Zhuo Fan's seminal value for Luo clan's victory, if he was dead, Luo clan would be done for. If Zhuo Fan was around, no matter how ruined Luo clan would become, or how many times it was beaten, it would still be like grass in spring, sprouting from God knew where, with more power than ever. It was only a matter of time. Huangpu Tianyuan could not let that happen. Zhuo Fan's badly wounded state was the best chance to take him out for good. Secondly, Zhuo Fan was just too damn bright, hiding Luo clan's glow each time Regent estate faced Zhuo Fan. They had suffered great losses, to the point that all of Regent estate believed that this war was in fact a fight against Zhuo Fan alone. Li Jingtian and other experts were negligible besides. The moon shined brighter than any star. Zhuo Fan was just too obnoxious, too outstanding, blinding their dog eyes to the reality, and Luo clan's other experts, even Lung Wucheng, fell for it. He only had Zhuo Fan in his sights. If this guy lost, all was over. He focused on getting Huangpu Tianyuan to boost his power, the 9 dragons' diamond body, just to face Zhuo Fan. But Zhuo Fan went against their thinking. leaving the fate of the war in the hands of others, giving Lung Wucheng no plan to counter, and forcing him to go on the run, funnily enough. It wasn't even Zhuo Fan's fallback plan, but just plan B. If he'd wrecked Huangpu Tianyuan back there, he would have been leading the goddamn attack by now instead of running around the place. Fan shook his head and sighed. Staggering in his flight, Huangpu Tianyuan had given him far greater damage than he had accounted for. I wonder if I can hold on for plan B to complete. Zhuo Fan looked ahead and took a deep breath. Cough, just a bit more. Zhuo Fan's right eye flashed again, just as the yellow light behind him whistled close, and he felt his head hurt in pain from the sound of the attack Zhuo Fan blocked with his arms bam. He slammed into the rocky ground, and in his place was a savage dragon's tail. Ha ha ha, Zhuo Fan, after a 3-day-long chase, you're finally out of steam. Zhuo Fan pulled himself from the pile of rocks, out of breath. Just 20 more miles, and I would have made it, but getting away now. Zhuo Fan squinted, noticing his enemy's fixed gaze for any movements, and sighed it was hard getting out now with his beaten body. But giving himself over was never part of Zhuo Fan's style. Huangpu Tianyuan, did you know that I played you? Your men are being killed, just about now. Zhuo Fan mocked. Huangpu Tianyuan laughed. Zhuo Fan, your life is worth 1,000 armies. If they lost because of Luo clan, it only proves they're useless. And I don't take kindly to dead weights around here. But if you die, there'll be no one to stop me, be it Luo clan or the 7 houses. None will matter at that point, ha ha ha. Huangpu Tianyuan's sharp eyes glinted, and he shot for Zhuo Fan with his claws out. Humph! Where's that Qilin shield? My claw is about to take your heart. Can your shield take it? Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth, straining to even lift his arms. He only had the beast arms to rely on, but those hands of his only trembled, sighing inside. Zhuo Fan knew he was on the brink of collapse from his wounds. Not even his arms could take an attack. Now Huangpu Tianyuan was excited. Zhuo Fan, today is your funeral. Cut the bull, I won't die here. Zhuo Fan dredged the last bit of energy to cross his arms. Huangpu Tianyuan smirked, putting more power in his attack, his eyes trembling. Enjoy the great hero Zhuo Fan, having rained havoc in Tianyu for a decade, would find his end at his hands. For him, who was about to establish his own dynasty, it was the greatest feat of strength. The collision was imminent, unless that red glow coming in from far had something to say about it. It smacked Huangpu Tianyuan away into a hill a mile away, breaking it to pieces once his head popped out from the rubble. He saw a pint-sized figure next to Zhuo Fan. His eyes widened, and he shouted, "Invincible scamp, Gu Santong!" Zhuo Fan laughed at the timely rescue. My life stays with me still. Old Huangpu, you loach, I can't take you down, but this little Qilin of mine will bury you, ha ha ha. Chapter 453, Gu Santong's Awesome Power. Chapter 453, Gu Santong's Awesome Power. Hearing the free laughter from Zhuo Fan, Gu Santong turned to him, enraged at how close he was to the door of death. Dad, who did this to you? Didn't you say we're going to ambush him? I've been waiting for ages. Figured you were done with him and came here to check, but now I see. Zhuo Fan sighed, a miscalculation. The main plan was to cut him off if he fled. But his strength exceeded my expectations, and I had to resort to a new contingency, as in to have you deal with him. But be careful. Don't worry, Dad. Since you've asked for help, I will not disappoint. Gu Santong was fired up, turning a stone-cold face towards Huangpu Tianyuan. Huangpu Tianyuan's face twitched, and he shivered. Gu Santong was number 1 in all of Tianyu, his name echoing through the last 3 centuries that no one alive could catch up to. His power was otherworldly, so much so that not even with 9 dragons' diamond body was he confident to take the kid on. Gu Santong and Zhuo Fan were somebody's to be careful around. He had planned on taking them down one at a time, starting with the cunning Zhuo Fan. Gu Santong was outrageously strong but naive. Once Zhuo Fan fell, he'd finish Gu Santong the same way as last time. With numbers, how was he supposed to know that just when he was about to put Zhuo Fan's head on a pike, Gu Santong would show up? If they teamed up, he'd be worse for wear, Huangpu Tianyuan shouted. Gu Santong, weren't you ordered to take down the traitor Zhuo Fan? I was just about to take his life, helping you as well. Why then did you save him instead? Bullshit, he's my dad. What son out there would help someone kill his dad? Humph, you freak of nature dares to hurt my dad, and I will get you for this. Gu Santong waved his tiny fist. Huangpu Tianyuan jerked. What? Why you mean, Zhuo Fan, Isaiah's your father? That's impossible. A godfather is still a father. Got a problem with that? Gu Santong snorted that cleared it all up for Huangpu Tianyuan. But it also worked to put him in a heavy mood. He couldn't for the life of him figure out how Zhuo Fan pulled it off. Getting this little menace to become his godson if they teamed up, nothing could stand up to them in Tianyu more importantly. Since when? With Zhuo Fan's guile, he'd be keeping it hidden and cook up a scheme to make Gu Santong chase him. When he fell out of grace with the imperial family, Huangpu Tianyuan felt a chill run all over him if he knew Zhuo Fan even a bit. He was sure the guy would keep his aces hidden for the best occasions. With how everyone scrambled for power, just when he thought he had the lands in his control. This bastard Zhuo Fan ought to be gone from the picture with Gu Santong on his tail, but in fact made a tactical retreat to build his forces, and this sudden change would make the enemies underestimate Zhuo Fan and fall for his trick in the know yourself and your enemy, and you shall be ever victorious. Zhuo Fan had one-upped everyone by hiding Gu Santong away. Huangpu Tianyuan gasped at the implications. Thanks to his lucky stars, he had discovered it before it was too late to suffer at this insidious killer. Move, he still had the power to turn it around. Huangpu Tianyuan cooled. Bloodthirst seethed, and with Zhuo Fan down from his wounds. All that was left was Gu Santong. He just had to beat Gu Santong, and he'd have taken 2 thorns out like nothing. Huangpu Tianyuan's tension flowed out of him, and he started rejoicing. The prospects of taking 2 big shots heads off were looking up, finishing off Luo clan and imperial family in one strike. Ha ha ha, Gu Santong. I've heard of your almighty power and wished to try it out for myself. Now that there's chaos all around us, allow me to take that invincible title off of you. Huangpu Tianyuan laughed. Gu Santong mocked. Humph, quite the pair you have there. In the last 3 centuries, there's been no one as stuck up as you to come talking to me. You 2-bit vermin. Wait for me to twist your head. Young Sanzi, his 9 dragons diamond body, is tough. Keep in mind. Zhuo Fan advised, but Gu Santong was already off, totally taking the other guy for granted. Huangpu Tianyuan laughed. Bam. The claw and fist collided, shaking the ground around them. The shock wave leveled anything within a mile. Huangpu Tianyuan staggered back 10 steps, while Gu Santong only 5. Startled, it was his first time being pushed back. When dishing punches, Huangpu Tianyuan was shuddering inside, having newfound knowledge of the extent of Invincible Scamp's power with 9 dragons, diamond bodies power backing him. He only got Gu Santong a few steps back. If it were Zhuo Fan, the guy'd be blown away into rubble somewhere by now. Huangpu Tianyuan looked for a way to deal with him. Gu Santong couldn't accept it. He had just used 80% of his power, and yet was still pushed back. Unlike the time he played around with Zhuo Fan, Gu Santong lifted his cute face and shouted, "Again!" Gu Santong and Huangpu Tianyuan clashed, but this time around, Huangpu Tianyuan didn't take the fist head-on. His claw attack was a feint, jumping back and avoiding the fist while retaliating with his tail at Gu Santong's back. Gu Santong frowned, flying into a hill and reshaping the landscape. Ha ha ha, against my tail. Even if you're the invincible scamp, you'd still end up bruised. Huangpu Tianyuan laughed at the pile of rubble. Zhui Fan's eyelids twitched. Shaking his head, it wasn't that easy injuring young Sanzi, because he was a sacred beast. But with his simple mind and simple attacks, it was equally simple to whip him. Gu Santong jumped out of the rubble, feeling his back. Ow, that hurt like hell! Blast it, how did he do that? And why is it so hard? Raising his clothes and looking behind him, Gu Santong was unable to see any wound and could only feel around. At least it's not an open wound. What he didn't see, Huangpu Tianyuan did. Staring at his back with a gloomy look, his eyes were popping out. He just used all he had in that lashing. Enough to split Zhuo Fan in 2. But Gu Santong didn't even have his skin peeled, only a light imprint. What kind of freak is this kid? Huangpu Qinyuan's confidence in beating him hit rock bottom before one was to defeat another. You'd best be able to harm him first. But he couldn't do even that. Huangpu Tianyuan felt like a 3-year-old in front of a buffed uncle. His tiny fist could do nothing against that tower of muscle. Zhui Fan snickered inside. Gu Santong's strength was innate, used to handle everything with his 2 fists, so while Huangpu Tianyuan had no chance to beat him, he did not have the brains to keep Huangpu Tianyuan here either. He reminded him, "Young Sanzi, this guy just called you an idiot for falling for his whip like a kid. He just doesn't know fear." As if, when did I ever say that? Huangpu Tianyuan glared. He knew Zhui Fan was playing dirty, to instigate a bigger conflict as young Sanzi's godfather. Of course he'd believe his dad over another. His face steeled and snorted, "I'm an idiot." Huangpu Tianyuan gulped, racking his brain for a way out. His eyes lit up. Since claws and tail didn't work, he'd use secret arts. This freak has no weakness. While Gu Santong was firing up his rage, Huangpu Tianyuan shouted, "Earth Dragon Wave!" Roar! A yellow glow shot for Gu Santong, but the kid just stood there, shining all red bam. Earth Dragon Wave slammed into him, but the scene made the other bug-eyed. Gu Santong took the attack and didn't budge an inch. In fact, he was walking towards Huangpu Tianyuan against the godly might of the 8 dragon souls. He pushed them all back like nothing. Huangpu Tianyuan was dumbstruck. This is insane. The kid is a true monster.